Okay, 1, 2, check Chuffy, 1, 2. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm super chuffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear because we're in mono. Let me just check you can hear me. 1, 2. As soon as this says it's ready, I'll press go live. Go. Yo, you can hear me. So I want to start off very carefully here. Today we're going to be doing Nicola Bulley. We're going to be looking at the reports in the news about this recent report. There's my tweet. Nicola Bulley versus the ICO, Emily Keaney report into the police. We'll be looking into Emily Keaney's report as much as we can. We'll be looking into the IOPC, their investigations, this report or statement about the report. We'll be looking into Emily Keaney herself a little, well, not deeply into Emily Keaney actually, to be honest. I don't want to look deeply into it, but she's written this blog, that goes along with the report, which some people might have missed. So we're going to have a look at that. And then that's Nicola. This is Emily, who's in charge of this process, or seems to be quite high up in charge of this process. And that's what we're doing today, right? Well, the first thing I'd like to say, though, very carefully today. Hello, everyone in chat. I'm not all excited. Oh, quick, breaking news. Oh, quick, breaking news. I can get fucking 50 quid off this video. Oh, quick, sweaty, get on the camera. There. That's not what this is. This is the death of a young woman who had kids. We're not going to be reading out the kid's name on the internet today. Oh, quick, desperate, quick, not get the news report for the, I heard someone say something about a gravestone, that's mine now, put it on my videos. Desperate, need the views, need the clicks, I'm the biggest one. Everyone wants to be me. We're not going to be doing that. In this tragic case, we're not going to be losing sight of the humanity. Okay, so I made that, obviously you know who I'm having a dig at, don't you? You know who I'm having a pop at, don't you? It's another reason why the man's an arse. And if you can't see that from his behaviour, there's no helping you. But the most of the good ones are all over here. Lee Hoffman, Julie Cooper, John Devine, Sasha English, Teresa De Cruz, Rockin' Chick, Deborah Rabbit. Let's have a hellos from you in chat. I'm jealous, says Deanne. How can I be jealous of that? Deanne, how can I be jealous of that? I've got no desire to be anything like that. That disgusts me. So I'm not jealous in any way. And I'll show you today why I don't have to do much more than a little bit of thought to be better than that. So I can't be jealous of something that I don't want to be anything like, and I'm better than. I'm better than that, yeah? I'll tell you something. Wow, it shocked me, it disgusted me. And there are other true crime channels. You notice I have a little, they're going on hearsay. I don't watch them because it's all conjecture. I'm not having a big tear down in the true crime world. There's one chuffer who's a malignant narcissist, and when I see it, I call it out. He's using this dead woman's case for leverage on YouTube to get money, and it's disgusting. Deanne was joking. He said that. Exactly, Deanne. Sorry, I just read your chat. Exactly, he did say that. It's ridiculous. And what he did yesterday was ridiculous and disgusting. I'm not about to jump on some bandwagon. Oh, quick, someone sent, like what happened yesterday for the AD is he turned on his stream to get ready. He hadn't been checking the news. Someone sent him an email and it said, look, you're missing this important new thing. And he thought, shit, I'm going to have to scrap what I'm doing today and suddenly change tack. And I'm all excited and hyped, and that's not the right energy for this. If that's what you're doing, time to turn off the computer. Time to move away from that. If you're watching that shit, because yesterday was a big nothing burger for him. He read the news, he had nothing. Time to shut up. Time to shut that down. No more of that crap, please. Okay, so I've said my little introduction. Now we're going to get on with what we're doing. I mean, obviously the room's going to keep filling up. I mean, it is going to keep filling up. But I'll tell you what, today I don't want to try and string this out either. I'm not trying to string this out for extra views and extra clicks and extra monies. That's not it. I've been asked to share this information today. I've been asked to look into it. So I'm going to. But I would have preferred not to. This can wait. There is no desperation to be the first one on the internet to talk about this. There is no race to be the first one to the trough. That's not what this is. This report, this information, this will be there for weeks now until the actual inquest. So there's no desperate rush for this. Unless you're in a desperate cloying rush for money and you're going to use this as your gluttonous trough, which it's not. So I'm glad that I've said that. So Nicola Bulley, Lancashire Police face no action over details disclosure. We're going to look at 3 different news reports of this. I'm the Super Chuffer. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm on the road to 10k. We are on the road to 10k. And we're not going to get there by just badgering on about Nicola Bulley. So we are going to be varying our content. We do live streams. You're watching one now. And they will vary. We've got a podcast, which we do once every Monday. It was off this Monday because Steve was sick. And that is a psychology podcast about how people think, feel and behave. And my co-host is a forensic psychologist. We're looking to add to the team. So that's growing and that's going really well. On my other channels, I've got Super Chuffer for you, fun clips. Fun clips. How do you make fun clips out of serious stuff about Nicola Bulley? Well, I also stream on Twitch and we play games. So if you want to see that, Ganji Impact is where I upload that sort of stuff. And also Battery Exhausted is my B-side channel. We have a lot of fun there. We rip the piss out of people who are idiots on the internet. Not just idiots, but malignant narcissists, grifters, you know, people who are trying to manipulate and take advantage of. We rip the piss out of people like that. Also make all sorts of other videos. It's like my scrapbook for where stuff has to go when I need to put some stuff from the scrapbook, like that Strongman film that I made. Oh, that's interesting. A bit of extra content from the Eddie Strongman film. Yeah, just stuck it up there. So that's that. Battery Exhausted. Make sure you're on that as well, because we talk stupid Alan, angry Alan, and people like it. People like that shit. And then these are other channels that I run. If you want to check them out, feel free. So now you know, Super Chuffer, main one, on the road to 10k. You want to be subscribed here. Hazel, say the name of the person for fuck's sake. What you on about? Angry Alan? I just explained. Angry Alan got all excited yesterday about his ability. Oh, quick, get on the internet and talk about Nicola Bulley for another 30 quid. Like, fucking pathetic. Pathetic. I said it straight out already. We've done it. If I smoke weed live on YouTube, I'm in no one position to pass on judgment to others. Fuck you, Englishman. How about this? Fuck you. You're in timeout now. Smoking weed has nothing to do with my ability to pass on information to others or to judge other people. If you're judging me for smoking weed, you're narrow-minded. That's on you. Because my content seems to go quite well despite it or with it. So fuck you. Thanks for that. It's an opinion. It's out of your arse. So that's that. We're not here to get excited about the death of Nicola Bulley. We're not here to gloat and grow and grovel and grovel. Yeah. Someone released something on the news. I'm going to be the first one to do it. Me. I'm the biggest one. Everyone wants to be me. Everyone wants to be me. This is not what we're doing. That is disgusting. I mean, I'm a bit eggy about that because the state of the man yesterday, and we don't really talk about him on this main channel, but that was, you know, transparently disgusting. So I need to let that dissipate. I knew I was going to have to face it when I sat down here to do this episode today. I knew I was going to have to face that because I could feel it. I don't feel like that. You know, I don't feel like that. I feel what happened in this report, this IOC, which we're going to look at today. We're going to be looking at the Emily Keaney, the person who wrote the report. We're going to be looking at what she said about this stuff in the surrounding context, which was missed yesterday. Was missed by the super duper everyone wants to be me. So there'll be a lot of trolls. Don't worry. I just wanted to point out that was stupid. Like the thing about those trolleys, Magical Fairy, is that the trolleys, because they're from Armchair Detective. I didn't get any trolls before I started talking about Armchair Detective. Now they're coming. So it's Armchair Detective's fans. It's not randomers, right? And the thing about those trolleys, they're not trolls, they're trolleys, because they're idiots, is that they say things, they try and like, I can hurt him with this. And it doesn't hurt me. It's the opposite. It makes me think you're stupid. It makes me think you're vulnerable and fragile and weak and you need to have a poke. So I say things about Armchair Detective that are real, that are bang on, that no one can critique. The videos are all on the Battery Exhausted channel. We're pulling him apart string by string. But poking at me for that? Pathetic. Go and watch Joe Rogan. Oh, Elon Musk is smoking weed on there. He runs that big company. Go fuck yourself. Like, just pathetic. So they try and do things that hurt, but in fact, they show themselves up to be sad little trolleys. Trolleys, not trolls, not proper trolls. Trolleys. Squirrel Sniper, big ups. I spoke to Curtis right at the start of this whole thing. He said he'd be happy to do a live with me, yeah. And but he's not allowed to talk about the Nicola Bulley case, so there's no point in having him on the show until that's up. And some people have got negative opinions about Curtis and have been saying, oh, what about this, what about that? Like, I don't know the guy. I've got I'm not desperate. Again, I'm not desperate to turn my channel into the Nicola Bulley conversation channel, get everyone on about Nicola Bulley. It's all Nicola Bulley, because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to grift off her death. Like, people ask me questions, they want to see my content, they want my opinions. I share things that other people don't. I discover things that other people don't. You've all seen it. It's there in record. Other people, like the Armchair Detective, are now using my content to inform their own. They've now come around to say the things that I'm saying. I don't care, really. I don't want Alan to steal off everyone on the internet. When he steals off smaller channels like that other woman the other day, like, oh my God, that's disgusting. But like, really, in 10 years' time, I'm not going to be I hope not to be talking Nicola Bulley. I hope that we can move on and grow, and that this one thing doesn't have to be the only thing in my content, you know. It seems a bit sad, really. Excuse me. You know, it's very similar to the Chris Watts case and the Madeleine McCann case, right? And the bottom line here is that people want to know. They want to know the answers. They want information. It's not their business. It's not my business. It's not your business. It's public business now because it's a crime that happened in public, and we think there's been a crime happened and the police are letting them get away with a crime like murder, work meeting. But really, we're all just nosy fuckers who want to know other people's business, aren't we? I'll admit it. I know that. Like, I'm interested. Yeah, I'm interested. Oh, what did Chris Watts do in America? Oh, you know, but really, like, it's not really my business. So we have to be careful with the way we talk about it. This is somebody's life. This is somebody's mother. Her children will grow up and will be able to see this content. So we do have to be a bit careful that we don't look like disgusting fucking grubbers, don't we? Like, or that we're not that we look like, that we're not. Like, think about it in your heart about why you care about this case. Do you care about a woman who died? Or do you care about YouTube views and being the first clicks and the big one? I care about making entertaining content overall on my channel. You know, in my private life, I've got a sad feeling for Nicola Bulley in my heart, but it doesn't trouble me in the night. I can sleep. It's not my mom. You know, let's be real, and let's be real about what I'm doing on my channel. I'm trying to make interesting content. So if something gets more views, I'm interested in making more of it, I suppose. If something takes the public attention and I can talk on it, and I've got my body language and I've got my, you know, analytical eye and people like it, I can talk on it, I suppose. But I am here as an entertainer, not as a pretend detective. I don't pretend to work with the police or anything. You know, they're not going to listen to my videos and change their opinions. So it's important that we know who we are and where we are, and that we're real about who we are and where we are. I'm a concerned citizen. I'm an entertainer. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be real. Let's be real. It seems things are getting a little bit, like, in people's hearts. They get not out of hand because, oh, there's another video. Oh, there's another. But in their hearts. In their hearts. You know? People across because Decax is being a troll. I care for money from Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, you idiot. But I do care about money. I make my money from doing my business here. This is my entertainment business. I make media. I make content. I've done 3 documentaries, one of which has been on Netflix. So I'm not afraid to say I make money out of my media. People are very gratefully, I mean, I'm very grateful that people are choosing to tippy me. And the reason they tippy me is because they like the content. It's a simple concept. I provide value. If you like the value, if you think you're getting something, you tippy. And that's straightforward at the moment. We're going to move on to memberships and other stuff. But I'm not desperately, I don't need memberships today to get more money right now. Well, the Nicola Bulley's big. Let's get the memberships on. Like, calm the fuck down. Please ban the big one, says Lottie. Will do if I see them again. Oh yeah, you can't put words like mongy. You can't write that. That's sorry, big one. You've been moderated for, like, you can't have a pop at Mongols, like Down syndrome. Like, that's not, I don't know. You know, I don't know. And obviously, you notice it in chat, yeah? You can see it in chat. They're trying to spoil the vibe here. They're trying to spoil the vibe. We've got support from Eddie. We've got, you know, Eddie Vinyl Break supports us and what we do against Alan. Like, he put a comment on the last video. We do need the mods in chat. We usually have some mods. If they're not here, I will mod, and I've modded those people. Thank you for drawing it to my attention. The thing I'm going to be careful of, though, is I always want to be able to allow other people to have their voices. You know, to have their voices. Snips is here somewhere. Well, Snips will keep an eye on it then. She might be busy. It might be early in America. But, you know, I want people to have their voices. But what I don't want is for people to come here and deliberately spoil it. Now, I don't want to moderate them out immediately because, for example, Englishman, you talk rubbish. That person has come from Alan. That could be Alan himself. Like, you know it in chat, don't you? We didn't have this problem before Alan. It's Alan that's causing this problem. Alan's silly people. Alan's trolleys. Alan's idiots. So it's okay that it happens in chat as long as it doesn't get you down too much in chat. You know, you can ignore, you can block them as well. Because you know where it's coming from, yeah? And it just looks bad on that guy. It just looks bad on that guy. It doesn't look bad on me. It doesn't make my chat, oh, Scott's chat is not a nice place. It's not what happens, man. People look at it and they see it and they think Alan's a cunt. Alan's a twat. That's what they think. So as long as you think that as well when you see those rude people and you understand who it is and what's doing, it's not. And also you think it's Alan's mods. It's not really. There's probably 1 or 2 that care. Only 2. Like, the rest of them don't give a fuck. The big one says, oh my God, I'm blocked over Among. You've done it again. You know, that language will not stand, I'm afraid. Sorry. If you say anything about anyone with disabilities like that, I'm going to time you out that time, yeah, so you can learn and you can come back. But it seems silly, doesn't it? Like, we're not going to say things like Mong or autist, or we're not going to pop at people like that, you know? So, you, in chat, you know, ignore them, bring them to my attention, whatever, but understand where they're coming from. And understand who it looks bad on. It doesn't mean our chat is a bad place. It means they are bad. And it's really down to one person. So we've had a little rant about that at the start. And I'm happy to. I'll tell you for why. Because the man looked like a disgusting piece of slime off my shoe yesterday. Grubbing for... I had to turn it off. I don't know if you watch that shit. I usually check in to see if he's being an idiot. And I was like, yeah, he's being an idiot. I can't be arsed with this. Turned it off. No point to the man. No point to the man. You know when people... like. You'd come to a road accident, someone would be on the floor, desperate for resuscitation. Alan would be videoing it for his YouTube. Aren't you going to do them the CPR? No, I'm videoing it for my YouTube. Just get out of here, Alan. Get in the bin. Get in the bin. Right. I need to calm down because we need to do the episode. But you know what I'm saying, don't you? You know what I'm saying? This is a woman who died. You know, this is a woman who died. This is a report into the handling of the case. This is not some internet free-for-all because Jake Paul fucking punched someone. You know? This is not that level. Get your mind out the gutter. Get out the gutter, you snivelling wretch. All the chicken I can eat. Some people have got no class, have they? That's what it is. Some people have just got no class. Money doesn't buy you class. It's not whether you're born into the kingly lifestyle or you're, you know, little Prince George. Money doesn't buy you class, decorum, etiquette, ethics. Money can't buy that. At the same time, because money can't buy it, you can't just buy it and have it. You have to know how to behave, and you have to have it in your heart. And if you're a disgusting narcissist, if you value people simply for their transactional, these people give me money, I like money. If you see people as a commodity, you know, if you use the internet to manipulate it like that, it's just disgusting. Slime off my shoe. Yeah. Disgusting. Disgusting. In fact, should we watch this quickly to cheer ourselves up? This is what I'll watch to cheer myself up, and then we'll get on with it. Although today's not a cheery episode, to be honest, is it? Today's not a cheery episode.
Share Lloyd or Rebecca G then. And don't forget all the trouble we got into.
Why does somebody not know how to flush a toilet after they've had a shit?
What do you mean?
Well, it was fucking one of yous. Disgusting!
Disgusting!
Don't forget all the trouble we got into.
Why does somebody not know how to flush a toilet after they've had a shit?
What do you mean?
Well, it was fucking one of yous.
Related or poundless centipes. I have enjoyed all your different content. Him staying. Alan is in the bin. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. 3 hugs. Starting to cheer me up now. Cheer me up with the money. Audrey, how are you doing? Audrey, I'm going to quickly mod you. I'm going to give you mod status because you're always good. I've seen you here for a while now. I'm going to add you as a standard moderator. Just watch out for people deliberately trying to make trouble, Audrey. Please don't regulate people for having different opinions. They're allowed 1 or 2 back and forth, and then we say no more back and forth. Stop arguing with each other. But please don't moderate people just for having opinions. But you know, watch out for people who are being deliberately you know, there are people here today trying to be deliberately, like, it's funny because I don't encourage people to go to Alan's chat and deliberately be mean and take it apart in his own chat. We do it in our space, but people have come here from Alan today to try and spoil our thing because they're scared and they feel threatened. And the main thing for Alan's community, it's probably Alan himself and not his community, but the main thing is they feel threatened and scared because, you know, we're going to pull apart what they've got and they haven't got much. Do you know what I mean? They give that man a couple of £100 so they've got somewhere to talk to each other. It's not much. So they feel pretty threatened. So I understand that, and I'm sorry for them. Hi, Medway Hospital protest, how you doing? So, you know, let's hope this can go well today. Let's see where we get to. I've said my bit, I've had my rant, and it was required today. It was required today. This is not a feeding frenzy. The seagulls follow the trawler because they think there'll be sardines thrown into the sea. Nicola Bulley, Lancashire Police faced no action over details disclosure. So we're talking about the disclosure of her personal details that she was, you know, she was missing. Everything was fine. Paul went on his video. Paul went on the world stage and said there was no problem with Nicola. And then it turned out she had the menopause, didn't it, or something? And then she was mental, and that was what was released by the police. And we all felt that was wrong. That was wrong. I'll tell you for why it was wrong. It was wrong for a number of reasons. Either they should have released that information straight away as part of she is vulnerable. We are scared she might have killed herself. Let's get on it. You know, like look for her in the rivers and, do you know what I mean? Like worry about her in that aspect. And that would have changed the way that people would have searched for her. They should have released it then if that was a concern. The fact that they didn't made it look like, I don't know what the facts are necessarily, do we? None of us really, but it made it look like they were trying to cover up the fact that they hadn't done a good job searching for her, maybe recording it as a crime. You know, maybe a sensible police force would have suggested first and foremost that she might have died at home, and that all this might be a decoy and a blag to try and make it look like... maybe I should say this right at the start of today's episode. What I've been saying for weeks and months now, is that I think Paul Ansell and Emma White did it. I think she died at home, or at Marsh Farm Hall maybe, on discovering them having an affair. And I think that they planned certain aspects of it, but other aspects happened very quickly. So instead of disposing of her body overnight, they had like 3 days while they did their plan, and then they made it look like she'd gone missing by having Emma walk the dog, drop the dog off, drop the phone off. Emma got seen in the clothes. Oh, that's Nicola. Oh, I thought it was Nicola. And then Emma dropped them. You know, I think Emma probably dropped the kids at the school. I think it was a decoy operation so that when the police got involved, they said, well, where was she seen last? Oh, in the village. So we don't need to look at your home then. We don't need to do the forensics at your home then. No, it was in the village. She just disappeared. You know, it's like a decoy to get people looking in a different direction. Decoy is a funny word that Paul used. Paul used that word first, then we started using it. But decoy is the wrong word, because decoy is something that hunters use so to lure in prey. You'd put a decoy bird out and then you'd sit there with your gun, and when the other birds land, you shoot it. It's not really a decoy. It's like a hoax. It's like, confusing of the truth. So that's what I think happened. And I think there's lots of evidence that adds up to that. And the main thing is that statistically, it's most likely. Because people don't just go and murder strangers on the random, statistically. If you look into it, most women that are killed like this are killed in their own home by their partners. And it's when they try and leave, or it's when they discover an affair, or it's when the partner loses their shit, or it might even be on drugs, cocaine might be involved, but this what seems to be the most obvious. So for the police not to investigate that heavily, and go down that road really heavy, and to say, oh, Paul's ruled out because we saw a photograph he showed us, or Paul's ruled out because he's got something on his computer that says he was at home, or Paul is ruled out because his CCTV seems to appear to show him. Why would you take that? My prime suspect has given me his own alibi, and I think his alibi is good because he said it was good. That's not acceptable to me. So I think the police have made themselves look bad by shitting the bed, by not doing their job properly. And now, as time goes on, of course, I always, and go back to my videos, please, Super Chuffer. Go back to my live streams, go back to my playlists, and find in the Nicola Bulley playlist the first person to have said, the police don't have the money. Me. Not Alan, not other people, me. Yeah? Go back and me, I'm the one. It's not that I'm the big one. Graham asks, am I watching Candy Star? No, because she just makes up stuff because she thinks she's psychic or something. No, I'm not watching that. She's obviously watching us, though. Bear that in mind. How ludicrous does it sound that Nicola Bulley's ghost would travel over to America to inform some person who lives in a flat that is getting YouTube money from her psychic videos. That's really been a boost for Candice Starr, bear in mind. She's really lucky that Nicola Bulley's ghost decided to visit her, because otherwise she wouldn't have as many views on her rubbish, weird channel. But, Roachbait, now I sound like Phil, exactly, I'm the one. But let's be fair, right? People are stealing these, not stealing the ideas, they're taking the ideas and saying that they thought them up, instead of saying, oh, I got this from here. Certain people, Alan, you know. So go back and have a look. And it's important that I make this clear now, because it's not like I've suddenly changed my tune based on what we're going to hear today. That's not suddenly going to happen. So I've said they haven't got the money, so it'd be easier for them if they don't have to investigate this at all. They can just say, it's a missing person. Missing person's case costs us this much. We'll get the people to go and walk around in the fields. We'll get the boats out. Murder case costs us a lot more, and if we don't solve it, it sits there unsolved and is problematic. And so murder case, but it's not a murder case yet. We haven't found any evidence. Well, don't look for any then. Don't do anything. Just let it slide and hope it goes away. And they didn't expect this huge public outcry. So that's what I think has happened. Nicola Bulley's been murdered by her partner, and with the collusion of Emma White. And I think that that's borne out through their interviews and their testimony. I've shown it in my videos, in my live streams, doing the body language. I've shown where they appear to admit to this, or bring it up themselves. And I've shown how the CCTV appears to be fake. Some people might not think certain aspects. Oh, but my CCTV does that as well. But my CCTV, not all of it. Between all of the things we picked out, some of that is wrong. Yeah, we've seen how the behaviour panel got it wrong. We've seen all the worst case scenarios and why we don't think it really is a psyop. We've seen. We discussed psyops. We've done more body language. We've looked at Penny. We're in deep here. We're in deep. So they're not going to face any actions over the details disclosure. That's what we're talking about today.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Swish and then flush.
Slinky Socks sent tippies.
I knew this today.
The trolls control off under the bridge. They came from XXX.
The trolleys.
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
The trolleys. Like Mr. Smith in chat there, she wasn't murdered, she was a drunk. That's an awful thing to say, Mr. Smith, and that's going to get you put in time out. Obviously, you're a fake troll account. What are you doing here? Why have you come here from Alan to be so creepy? Is that you, Alan? That's fucking creepy, you know? We're not going to discuss today whether Nicola Bulley did drink or whether this or that. Like, that's by the by, we've talked about it in the past. Although some of it might come up when we review some of this thing. So keep a lookout for that. But I don't know how much Nicola Bulley drank, and nor do you, and nor does anyone in chat. So don't pretend that you do. There's no point in defending the position she never drank at all. And there's no point in going on that she was an alcoholic, because you don't fucking know. So don't pretend you know. Right. The force which investigated this is the BBC, so this is where I go to first. The force which investigated Nicola Bulley's disappearance will not face action for sharing her personal information, a watchdog has said. Of course not. They'll cover up their own back. Remember, this commissioner... I mean, I'm going to use So again if I can. I can never find their fucking videos because the name of their channel. I should have got this prepared early, actually, if I was going to talk about this fucker. Maybe we should do our own episode on this fucker, because they've done it. So has done it, and I respect a lot of their work. Okay? So, Mr. Snowden, they've been following. If you want to know about Mr. Snowden, take a look into the digging that So has been doing. Because Mr. Snowden, who's, overviewing the police here and or asking for these commissions to have these independent reports, is political. You have these political people that get put in as the crime commissioner, and what he's interested in, as So has quite rightly dug out, is he's interested in funneling off public money. Like, all the Tories are in these positions, so they get like 360 million to spend on policing, and he makes sure some of it goes to his mate at the drone factory, or 50 million was put into this thing, and we don't really see any results. But where's the money? I don't know. I've got a nice house, and it's all a money funnel. Yeah, and so Andrew Snowden has no desire to throw his own police under the bus here. He has no desire to make them look bad. He has no desire for his commission and all this to make them look bad. What he's actually trying to do, Andrew Snowden, in his position, is to guide things in his political way. So we've got to be really careful about him. When I say careful, I mean he's a fucking wrong'un. So when he's involved...
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
KRYSSY sent tippies. Finally catching a live. Caught up all the Nicola Bulley and Thus videos. Keep up the good work, X. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
Big ups, Chrissy. Thank you for the 5 hugs. I appreciate it. I really do. What we've got to be careful of here is that these commissions are, to the public, they appear to be independent commissions. They're just going to tell us the truth. But behind closed doors, they might just be there to prop up the police and to help them. So anything they say in these reports, we now have to take with a pinch of salt, don't we? Yeah? We have to be careful because they might just be there to prop up the police and to make the police look right. It might be that the report says, oh, it was fine to reveal these details. But that doesn't mean it was fine to reveal these details. It means now we're involved in politics. And the people that are involved in producing this, in commissioning it, in whatever, the guy with the hand on the money tap for the area, we're talking politics now. Disgusting. The 45-year-old mother, body 2, was found... Yeah, the Information Commissioner's Office.
Linda sent tippies. Justice for Nicola. Keep it going, Scott X. Super Chuffer owes 6 hugs.
You know, Eddie pulled me up on this on one of his videos the other day. He thinks maybe I'm just into this for entertainment. I am. I'll be honest. I'm making YouTube videos for entertainment and so that they can provide me with an income. Yes. I enjoy doing it. I'm not here to fight Nicola's war. I'm not here to... You know, I'm not her family, her close friends. I haven't got the money to run a court case. Like, I'm not here to fight for Nicola's rights and justice. I'm an entertainer on YouTube. However, I do feel these things. You know, I would prefer it if justice were done. I feel like I'm a good chuffer. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of good and evil, and good, you know, I feel like I'm a good chuffer. So I try my hardest to be good, and in my life and to the people around me, and you know, it's a wider sense with charity and other things like that. You know, we do our bit of chuffing. So chuffing of love in the world. You know, we spread our love in the world. But I can't fight everyone's corner and everyone's case. And whilst I'm interested in this and it provides interest on the channel, and whilst I've certainly got my perspective on which side of the fence I sit, I want it to be clear to everyone, I am not Nicola's, like, you know, I shouldn't be fighting for her justice. I'm just a stranger. But between us all, as we put our little bits in, it becomes a bigger thing, doesn't it? So that's important. However, I do feel this. You know, I do want Nicola to... Well, it's more than that I want Nicola to get justice. It's I want the people who murdered her to come to account. Because I don't think in today's day and age in Great Britain, we should have people getting away with murder when it's fucking obvious what happened. So, like, you don't have to be a clever armchair detective to work this one out. She didn't go in the fucking river, did she? Like, do you know what I mean? Oh, I wonder where she went then. Maybe up the road. She definitely took the kids to school, although I don't know if she was on the CCTV. Just fucking hell. Paul done it. Emma done it. I done a murder. Like, do we have to beat around the bush? So for that reason, I do want justice for Nicola and for her kids as well. I know that we can't bring Nicola back. I know that she will never feel this sense of justice enacted, even if it is. But for her kids, they shouldn't have to grow up in that world, wondering and worrying. I'd like them to have some closure on this. So mainly it's for her kids. Like when people talk about justice for Nicola, for me, mainly it's for the kids. But yeah, you know, it's a funny one. I'm an entertainer, but I do feel that sense of injustice. So her body was found after it disappeared. And I am reading the news to you today a couple of times, but I want to show you the differences, if there are any in the news. Miss Bulley disappeared while walking a dog by the river after dropping off her daughters at school on 27th of January. Well, it didn't. She didn't. That's not a fact. Why are you reporting that in the news? Are you sure she was walking her dog by the river? No. Have we got any evidence? No. We've got evidence that was put there to try and convince us she was there. But that's, if you follow that and believe it and report it, then you're following what the people who murdered her want you to say. So that's a fuck up. I wouldn't report that. I'd report we don't know where Miss Bulley went. She appeared to be walking her dog. I wouldn't write it like it's a fact. Her dog was found shortly after along with her phone, which was still connected to a work meeting, and placed on a bench by the steep riverbank. Sort of, maybe we'll say. We'll put that in the maybe pile, all of that. We don't know if the dog was on Garstang Road like they first reported, or if it was probably not like they first reported, because first reports get confused. But, you know, this is what we're now saying is fact in the news. The police mounted a large-scale operation, blah, blah, blah. MPs and campaign groups voiced their approval after officers put elements of her private life into the public domain. So this just says MPs voiced their disapproval. It's not very specific. And it says, including her struggles with alcohol and perimenopause. Now, again, we don't know that she struggled with alcohol. We know that that was put into the public domain. We don't know that Nicola struggled with alcohol. We know that it was put into the public domain that she struggled with alcohol. Bear that in mind. And now, I'm not here to tell you you're a study group, right? You believe what you want. you think what you want. I'll tell you what I think, and I don't need you to, I don't need to sit there and re-chat until I get an idea about what you said and then say it like it's me. I'm all right with my ideas. You believe what you want, okay? I don't think that Nicola had a problem with alcohol myself. I think that was put into the public sphere so that we could assume that she killed herself. And it was done late. If she had a problem with alcohol, you'd want to report that on day one that she's missing, because then you might look for her at the pub or by the alcohol shop or drunk somewhere lying around in a ditch. Like it would affect things massively. So I don't believe it. Announcing its conclusions, ICO's Deputy Commissioner of Regulatory Policy, Emily Keaney, who we were going to look more deeply at her words today, which should have been done by anyone who was reviewing this yesterday, but they didn't. Sorry, I've got to get that chip off my shoulder today. It's because of I'm really excited and sweaty because we can make money off Nicola today. Another Nicola. It's because of that I felt so disgusted by the man. Disgusted is the right word. Like, Sorry, I do need to tone that in. My disgust can be let go. These are quite sensitive issues, aren't they? The death of a woman, her children's life, opinions about her in the public, and the way people grub. I'm inventing my own words, grub for money, and it's all the things. All that shit, hurting women, grubbing for money, all that shit's in the box of things I really don't like. So you can understand it makes me feel a little bit, yeah. We want it to be clear that while police can disclose information to protect the public and investigate crime, okay, they would need to be able to demonstrate such disclosure was necessary and proportionate, she said. Announcing its conclusions, ICO Deputy Commissioner of Regulatory Policy, Emily Keaney, said it had sought to reassure the public that there are rules in place to protect how personal information is used and shared. So I worry about this. The first point, reassure the public. I don't need reassurance. I need you to do your fucking jobs properly. Reassure me by making sure they're going to come to account. Reassure me by saying, right, these people have lost their fucking job for that. These people have come up before the board. I can't have that again. Disciplinary. Don't reassure me that, oh no, honestly, they do a good job, honestly. I don't need reassurance. I'm not some fucking stupid, naive little child that needs reassurance. Am I? David Foley with a super chat, £5. Thank you very much, David Foley. I appreciate it. I don't need reassurance. I want you to do your job properly. The reassurance I need is that the government are going to fund the police properly, and that those funds are going to go where they need to go. That all those millions of dollars aren't going to get funneled into someone's drone hobby or some shit, that the money's going to go where it needs to go. And on top of that, no, not money paid so that they can fucking put a CCTV camera in my bedroom so they always know where I am. Not that. Money so that we've got more police on the street and a diverse collection of people that are doing the policing. Policing's done by the people for the people. They're us policing our own society. It's not the army that are there to, get back in your home or I'll shoot you. So we need people like us to be in the police. It seems like it's male dominated, and it seems like when it's male dominated, you get misogyny, and you get like policemen end up doing crimes against women and shit. Fucked up shit. We need a big, broad, we need more different people in the police. And you get that by putting loads of money into it and offering fresh graduates good jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like it seems like good training. We've cut the police down to its bare bones, and now we expect a service. And if there's not a service, the Conservatives are going to say, oh, look at the bad crime, you should vote us in, we'll stop it. Like, they're just funneling off the money. So I don't want to be reassured.
I couldn't be happier.
Swish and then flish.
Curious Cat sent tippies. You know you're doing the right thing when the Trileys invade en masse. Us MIMPs have got your back.
Exactly. And
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
unlike this very sensitive people in their chat, in that other channel's chat, unlike the very sensitive people in our Armchair Detectives chat, we don't have to feel that sensitive. We can see a troll and we can just pathetic, move on. Like, we don't get hurt in our hearts by someone being a pathetic mitherer in our chat. So I'm glad for your lovely, supportive attitude there. Thank you. A number of things designed to try and irk me today, but I'm happy to show my true emotions, which is not happy with this. Read it through, thought it out, didn't react, thought about it, paying my respect at the start. Now I'm going to call some people to account, and it's not who you might think. We wanted to be clear that while people can disclose information to protect the public, police can disclose information to protect the public and investigate crime. Of course, it was pulled up in our chat. Sorry, I can't see exactly who said that, but it was pulled up in our chat. Crime? What crime? Apparently this is missing persons. They would need to be able to demonstrate such disclosure was necessary and proportionate. Well, if someone's suicidal, it's obvious that it's proportionate to talk about certain aspects of their personal vulnerabilities. You'd have to be careful though. You probably would say certain aspects, like she may be struggling with alcohol, but you may not say perimenopause because that might be a bit personal. You might have summed both of those things up by saying she may have struggles with mental health and just leave it vague. So there are ways that you can do this. I still think what you've said there doesn't make this better. She said the ICO has spoken with Lancashire Police to better understand the steps they took before releasing the information. And of course there are middlemen involved at some point, aren't there? Are there? Did the ICO just turn up unannounced? Or have they been requested by someone? Was it Snowden, that chuffer that we had a quick look at, and we're not doing our episode on today on Snowden? I'm sure now I've said it, other people will go and look at So and do what their work and bring it to their channel. And if you see it happening, go and watch So first so you know, and then see who's like regurgitating their stuff without giving the proper kudos. Spoken with Lancashire Police to better understand the steps they took before releasing information, and had heard about the challenging nature of considering whether how to share personal information during fast-paced important cases. So it talked a load of shit then, yeah? Heard about the challenging nature. Oh, my job was difficult. I didn't know what to do. Should I have said it or not? I'm not sure.
It's raining again. I couldn't
Harlequin
be happier.
sent tippies
And then whoosh!
towards more smoke. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
Bless you. This money that you tipping me doesn't go into smoking weed. It goes into PayPal, and drug dealers don't accept PayPal. I'd have to get it from the PayPal to another account. I lose money on it then when I do that, and then I would have to take it out the bank and spend it on... I'm not doing that. Frankly, I'm not doing that. Do a few little haircuts every now and then for a few friends for a little bit of cash. I'm still allowed to. It's no problem. Goes on my books. And I buy a little bit of weed. I get quite a good deal out of my mate because I've known him for years and years and years and years. Not going to grass anyone up actually on the internet, but do you know what I mean? After you've been smoking this long, you know your friends. I don't have to... I'm not here spending your money on it, but thank you. I appreciate it. That goes in the fighting fund for our media production. And also, in the end of the year, I will see how much I've made and maybe give myself a little bit of money as next year's salary. So that's, this is what I'm hoping for. Thank you very much. I'm really grateful. The ICO spoke with the police to understand the steps they took before releasing information, the challenging nature of considering whether how to share personal information during fast-paced important cases. It's just garbage words. It's just fluff words. Based on our conversations, we don't consider this case requires enforcement action. So nothing wrong here then. We had a chat about it. They said, I didn't know what to say really. It was going quite fast, and I thought maybe we should say that she was alcoholic, but then we didn't. And then later on, when she didn't turn up for a while, then we did, and it seemed like the right time. And they've gone, okay, yeah, no more enforcement action here needed because we had a chat about it. So that seems like they're not doing their job properly, because as far as I could see, it did require enforcement action. It required a bit more structure. We need to, you can't just say, sometimes we say things and sometimes we don't. And, if it was necessary and proportionate, these are all the vague words that enable you to sneak around the side, isn't it? Not if they've got an alcohol problem and they are suicidal, then we say it. These things are facts. Not like, in the regulation and code of conduct book, it says to do this, so we did it or didn't do it. No, well, you can if you want, and you might not have to, and sometimes we do and don't. So I'm not happy with that. She said the ICO had spoken with the police, and based on their conversations, we don't consider the case requires enforcement. She added the ICO would provide further details around this decision following the inquest into Nicola Bulley's death, which is due to be held in June. So they've got further details. They've got their full report. I've been looking for it and I cannot find it because they're not going to release it, which is fucking weird. Because if you're going to have an inquest into Nicola Bulley's death and you're going to be investigating policing standards and you want to wait until the inquest, can't you find out now? Because between now and then, they're going ahead with these rubbish standards. Unless the standards are okay, I don't know. Again, this is a problem. Why don't you bring it out now? Why doesn't it help to inform the inquest? Why is it going to happen after? I think that, as I've said at the start, not enough money, and I've said this from day one, Conservatives cut the, it's a standard thing that you can apply to any court and criminal case in today's day and age in the UK. Not enough money. Decisions made to try not to spend money when you don't have to. Be better if she turned up as a missing person. Be better if she turned up in the river as a suicide. We can just not have to. And then on top of that,
Raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Swish and then whoosh.
Dark Maiden sent tippies. You are 100 on it today, Scott. I lived through this thankfully surrounded by narcs. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
do you know what? I'm going to say something. Thank you very much for those tippies. You reminded me of something there about the narcs. Narcissists are horrible people, and we've talked about one enough today. But it seems like through our investigation, which we did on Thus, I got my friend, the forensic psychologist, Steve of the Dead, to come onto the show as my co-host, and he's got this expertise so quickly on my channel. And I am on it today. I have got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about this, I think, because I think this is quite important. It's a wider context important. It's not just Nicola and Justice, it's all of us. This could be you. This could be your nan. This could be your mom. This could be someone else. Like, this could be your wife. This could, well, you wouldn't have murdered her, would you? But, this could be you. This could be your friends. And this is you and your friends, because Nicola is one of us. She is just a normal person like you and you and me. She's a normal person like you and me. And if we're let down by the police like this consistently, then we've got nothing. Like we've just got the law of who's got the most money, and that's disgusting. Yeah, on the playlists doing Thus, we looked at narcissism. I'm so grateful for Steve coming on and doing these extensive episodes with me about narcissism, because now I know a bit about it. And one of the things that did come up was that the narcissists do tend, I think Steve's okay, I think he's going to be okay, don't worry. He was just a bit poorly, a bit like COVID. I think people got together and watched the at the weekend there was a bit of a national weekend with the King and that, and people passed the bugs around and stuff, I think. We learned about narcissism, right? And we also learned that narcissists navigate towards certain roles, and it seems like the police, no offence if you're in the police, I've got to be careful, I'm not trying to slate the police entirely, remember, I think they do a tough job and they're underfunded, but there are a lot of narcissists in the police. There are a lot of narcissists in the police. Yeah, surrounded by narcs. I mean, it's a fucking difficult place to be in. That's why we need that funding to widen it. That's why we need there to be women in the police as much as men. That's why we need there to be a spectrum of our society, just like our society is, so that we can police ourselves properly. Anyway, they're going to provide further details in June. So it feels to me like I'm not going to go now. Listen, I'm being very careful as well. I'm going to have another pop at that idiot detective again. Not a detective. That's the wrong word. Idiot, the mimp, the clothes from IKEA. I'm having another pop now, right? Because I don't think this is a culture of cover-up. We've got to be careful about how we talk. If you say there's a cover-up, there's a sophisticated cover-up. I need to use my Twitter for this, actually. If you say there's a sophisticated cover-up, there are people on Twitter, and I can't show you them because some of them have blocked me, and they're going on about a psyop. And it's all a psyop, and there is a cover-up because the government are in on it, and they all want you for this and that, and it's going to be like chips in your hand, and you're going to have to go to the shops with a chip in your head, no more cash, all this stuff, right? Psyops. So if I'm on the internet and I'm talking about this case, and I'm saying I think there's a big cover-up, I need to be careful how I say it, because I could be attracting those psyop people. I could be perking up the ears with a dog whistle to some of those psyop people. I could be sending people's mental health into a very dangerous place. When people don't know the answers and they question everything around them, and you're telling them that they can't trust the agencies around them, and that the only people they can trust is you on the internet, and then they have to watch a load of internet, and then they're in these wormholes on the internet, and then they get mental health problems. A couple of people who I'm aware of, I'm not going to point any fingers, but a couple of people who started out on our channel as commenters, as people who I see as intelligent people on the internet, have veered off into what I consider to be a bit of a mental health issue. Maybe they need a break, so I'm going to be very careful not to suggest psyops and weird shit like that. When I talk about cover-ups, I want to be careful and clear, right? And I'll show you another aspect of this. I don't know the truth of this, look.
Forcing their rules on others.
I don't speak Russian. So it says here, Putin's speech yesterday stated globalists have captured the West and how their policies entailed child sex trafficking, child mutilation, forced transgender education, CRT and the worship of Satan in all institutions. Our politicians and mainstream media state he's the enemy. What? And I said, if you agree with all that stuff Putin said, maybe the Russians infiltrated social media and got you indoctrinated with their bullshit. It all seems confusing. And then underneath it says, Putin did not say these words. He said, Western global elites still talk about their exceptionalism, divide people and drive wedges between societies, provoke bloody conflicts and coups, sow hatred and aggressive nationalism, destroy Western family values. So, like, all this weird, like, if we say, and we're careful, like I said, if we say that this is a cover-up, we might be pushing people towards a dangerous space on the internet where they believe a load of nonsense, and even the nonsense that they believe doesn't trigger in them the concept that it might be nonsense, and they get really confused, and they believe that he said something he didn't even say, and the things they think he said don't even, if they're true, then you would assume that you should be like against those things. And if he's saying them and we think he's a liar and a bad chuffer, then maybe they're not true. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we going? Being confused is the end result of this. And your own confusion, your own mental confusion, your own disconnection with society, that makes you into a very easily manipulated person. So be careful. Let's not go down these strange roads today. I'm not sending you down them. I'm saying stay away from them. Yeah, I might have retweeted that one, but the point being, if you agree with Putin, then you think like Putin, and you don't want to think like Putin because he is your enemy. Or are you saying that now Putin is not my enemy, he's my friend? In which case, haven't you been infected by the Russians? Because now you're on their team. Like, why don't you just fucking move to Russia then? Oh, it's not very nice over there.
It's
you prefer it here.
again. I couldn't be happier.
Swish and then swoosh.
Dawny sent tippies. Chuffragits are us. You are the wig.
What the fuck is this? This is going to need some zhuzhin. This is going to need some zhuzhin.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Ellie Andrews sent tippies. Please upload sign the petition justice for Nicola at change.org. Many thanks for all your hard work. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
It's my new wiglet. So, I don't know about the petitions. Personally, I don't sign petitions because I think the politicians would rather have us writing our words on a petition and being ineffective because they get the petition, then throw it in the bin and don't care. I'd rather like voice my, this is me doing my thing here. And then I suggest that we protest. The more that we stand in the streets and protest, the further things go. Like, that's traditionally been the space for the change, I guess. Do you think this is inappropriate now? Do you think I'm alright just wearing the wig? Someone tipped me and said about the wig man. So, the Independent Office of Police Conduct said it also conducted its investigation into an officer's contact with Miss Bulley prior to her disappearance, which had identified 2 areas of learning related to recording information and activating body-worn video. I'm going to dig into that when we look at their actual investigation. Okay, I'm looking at how the police how it's been reported in the media first. It said it had focused on the actions and decisions of a police officer who had attended Miss Bulley's address as part of a multi-agency team due to a concern for her well-being. We know about that already. To be clear, we know there's been, it's strobing for the chroma key, yeah? We know that there's been a welfare check. We don't know who went on the welfare check. To be clear, that man that I'm critiquing today, that armchair man, he said that we knew that there'd been health people there. We didn't know that. That was him making stuff up. We didn't know who had been there. We knew there'd been a welfare check. I personally had assumed a welfare check involved 2 police officers. I personally had assumed that a welfare check involved you ring the police and say, I need a welfare check. And then the police go there and knock on the door and say, hi, are you okay? We're checking on your welfare. And usually it will be 2 officers because they go around in 2s. And if it was for a woman, it would involve a female officer. So my assumption was 1 female officer, 1 male officer, team, welfare check. That was an assumption. I don't know. Today we're being told that it involved a police officer. We're not told how many police officers necessarily. We'll look into it. It added that after a careful review and analysis of all the evidence, it had recommended that the force update its guidance to the multi-agency vehicles to ensure all police officers working in this role understand what's expected of them. So we'll look at their report, as I said. Now it goes on to say they want to thank the ICO for their careful consideration of the matter. They welcome the decision, said the police. It's important to stress that the completely separate investigation involving contact with Miss Bulley found no misconduct or wrongdoing. Yeah, no misconduct or wrongdoing, no. So now we're adding our spin onto this. Right? We're really savagely putting a spin on this. And the savage spin is that it's important to stress that they didn't disciplinary me. Is it? Is that important to stress? Or is it maybe more important to stress the other factors about this case, about the truth of the case, about whether she was murdered by her partner, about what it points to, about what it says? Or is it more important to focus that the police didn't know anything wrong? I mean, we might have done something wrong. We might have done a little bit wrong, but we didn't do enough wrong to get disciplinaried. So let's spin it. It's like, you know, if I was playing football and I did a sliding tackle and nearly broke someone's leg and the referee gave me a yellow card. And I'd say it was important to stress I didn't get sent off. So don't worry, I'm good. But forget the bit where I broke the bloke's leg and forget the bit where I did the sliding tackle and the yellow card. It's important to stress I didn't get sent off. So that sounds like spin. Whilst we do have some procedural learning, so there is something wrong. Procedural. Your procedure was wrong. Things you did were wrong, and you need to learn about that. Procedural learning. We'll look into it deeper because this is later, but this is their response early in the news. It's important to note our attendance was in support of an ambulance deployment. So someone had called an ambulance and the police decided to attend, right? I'm going to get to that, like I said. I want to just quickly cover how the differences in the media report it, and I want to cover the specifics. So they say that the officer dealt with Nicola with compassion and empathy, putting her care at the forefront of his decision-making on that day. His decision-making on that day. The county's police and crime commissioner, Andrew Snowden. Hello, Brett Rogers. Cluck you. You clucker. You mimp. You mimping clucker. Thank you for the 20
again. I couldn't be happier.
Swedish krona.
Kiwi sent tippies. Don't mess with Alan. He has a pedigree dog.
He's got a big
Super
armchair.
Chuffer owes 6 hugs.
So we've got to have a laugh as well, haven't we? This is it. Now I've done my tetchy bit at the start because I was so in my feelings about the children and their mother's death and how people approach it on YouTube. Now that I've done that, we can have a laugh, can't we? So let's chill out and have a laugh. Yeah, good. Let's hear my pronouns. My pronouns are me, I am, best one, biggest. I'm the main one. Everyone wants to be me. My pronouns are narc, narcissist. I'm the main one. Everyone wants to be me. How should you come on and display to the world that you're probably not a narcissist? I'm the main one. Everyone wants to be me. Andrew Snowden, who we don't like. Andrew Snowden's a chuffer who we feel is diverting money. Yeah. Andrew Snowden said an independent review by the College of Policing into the force's handling of the case was underway. And remember, he asked for that independent review. And I remember reading it in the BBC. You can go back and check our things. He said the reason they want that is to determine how the police lost control of the narrative. That's what he's most concerned with findings and recommendations due to be published in the autumn after, of course, the inquest. So that might all change. He said it would have 3 areas of focus: the operational response to the high-risk missing person investigation. Why is he saying this in fancy language? Why is he talking in this bullshit language? Do you remember what I said the other day about plain English? You want to talk to people. You're talking to them here, the nation in the news report. You want to talk to them so they can understand what you're saying. So the areas of focus: 1, the search, not the operational response to the high-risk missing person investigation. The search. Number 2, press engagement and decision-making surrounding disclosure of sensitive personal information. So where's number 3? Why is it not published, number 3, BBC? Because number 3 wasn't it how the police lost control of the narrative? I don't know. But press engagement, decision-making surrounding disclosure of sensitive personal information. You mean the bit where we told them that she was mental and had the menopause and it was her fault, she's probably dead of menopause because she's a suicide? That bit, or the bit... I mean, that's not the main thing that you want to focus on here, I would suggest, in your report. I would suggest, like, finding out who done the fucking murder. I am actually cross about this, the way they're turning... Now it's got political, and when things get political like this, they go down this disgusting... Like, you know, at the start I said it's about someone's actual mother who actually died. You know, we shouldn't get excited because there's a news report, because, oh, brilliant, more Nicola Bulley videos. Like, she actually did died, and then this guy don't give a fuck about any of that. He's using his politics... Now he's doing his politics. Like, disgusting. Disgusting. So we're going to get to the welfare check, don't worry. We're going to get to the welfare check. We're going to discuss it. Next. This is the Manchester Evening News, which I am told by people who live in Manchester is a bit right-wing. I just want to skim through it and see if it's any different. Lancashire Police will not face action, it starts with. So it's like basically saying, you know, they are not guilty of stuff. A separate report. The force came under heavy criticism. In a statement, it said it concluded the investigation, the ICO. It was an important piece of work around a high-profile case. Same quotes, we want to reassure the public, and there's another independent investigation. The other independent investigation will focus on the investigation focused on the actions of the police officer attended. This is all very similar. So they did basically the same. It's just they focused on whether the police, basically the same article, isn't it? Like a lot of these people, what I think with the mainstream media is they get the one article somewhere and then they all just sort of copy paste. So that's basically the same one. In the left wing, we've got the Guardian, and they say police will not face action. Very similar. Watchdog decision follows criticism. So they brought up the criticism. This is different. They brought up the criticism. Lancashire Police will not face any action. They were labelled misogynist. Oh wait, this is different, isn't it? All of a sudden this is a different piece of news now. The BBC said that they were criticised. They didn't say what they said though. MPs and campaign groups voiced their disapproval. You can click the button and it will take you to this other article which looks very much the same, and it said Suella Braverman asked for an explanation. Okay. But over here it's saying they were labelled misogynist and sexist as it comes by MPs and campaigners during the 3-week search for the missing 45-year-old. So that's different. And if I press this button here, it takes me to this, where MPs criticise police over receipt. So Labour's Stella Creasy. Labour. So I'm not going to get into the politics. I'm not going to tell you how to vote or any of this. I've gone on about what the police have been under the, like, you know, how the Conservatives have cut the police, now they're funding the money. That's not because I care about how you vote. That's because of just what's happening. Yeah. Here, this is another layer to this now, and you need to understand this before we go in and look at the report. Labour are criticising the Lancashire Police. There's a back and forth. It's not been reported that way in the more right wing and the more, I guess, what should we say, the BBC, centralist media. This criticism was not reported in the right wing. In fact, the right wing basically said the police are not at fault. The left wing are the ones saying that Labour are criticising. So now we've got a political football. You remember they talk about these political footballs, the NHS and this and that. Now we lose sight of whether Nicola is being served by the police. Because we create a political atmosphere where one side has a vested interest in protecting their political interests. If this is seen to be a failed police service, if this service has failed Nicola, then Labour win. They were right. They criticised them. If they can say that this was all done well, the Conservatives win. They were right. They don't have to put more money in. So does everyone understand this? That it's now become political. I'm not asking you to create, to make your own political decisions here. I'm just making it clear that this has become political. So we need to be careful ourselves, me certainly, not to fall into that. I'm not going to start, I've got a slight leaning, which is that it's all a load of bollocks and they should just fucking scrap it and allow us to vote on it like we do the X Factor. But I don't think this is acceptable, is it? Because now we're doing political football stuff. So we need to be careful. Whose politics? Who's informed what? The commissioner, the person who pays the commissioner, the IOC are separate and they're independent, but have they got any leanings themselves? And is there any money? And all this stuff, like, where do we go? Where do we go with this? How far do we go with this? I'm just saying, it's like what it's like is it's like the investigation for us, armchair detectives on the internet. I don't sit in an armchair. The armchair. Anyway, look, I'm a mimp. I've got a big armchair. I've got a work meeting. I've got all the chicken I can eat. Listen, the issue is that it's like we're making a soup. It's a lovely clear broth. We're trying to make it as clear as, clarity is what we want. Trying to make it as clear as possible. And then someone's come in and they've dropped in some ingredients now that have just clouded the soup. They've dropped in a big handful of flour or something. Politics. Soup's gone cloudy. That's not coming back. Now it's one of those thick broths where you can't see where your lump of potato is and is that a pea? You're going to have to dig around It's not a minestrone anymore with all the lovely, separate bits that you can see. Oh, I can see all the way to the bottom of the bowl. No, it's not that anymore. They've muddied the waters, haven't they, with politics. And it's important that you understand it, because we're going to need to try and be aware that it's happening as it happens. So whether it's the left wing who are criticising the police and their response, you might agree with that, you might disagree. Whether you think they've been misogynists and sexists in reporting Nicola Bulley had mental problems because she was a woman with the menopause, therefore she probably offed herself. Much more likely she binned herself off than her partner murdered her, because she's one of these crazy women. So, whether you think that's misogynist or sexist, that's what the left wing think. The right wing think we don't need to give the police any more money. In fact, we're giving them loads. That commissioner's had millions and he's happy. And, we want the people to shut the fuck up and maybe do as they're told more. So that's what the right wing is sort of putting out there. That's as far as I read it. Okay, that's as far as I read it. Have you got problems in chat? Are you all right? Is there anyone being a troll or anything? You're allowed different opinions, you're allowed different ideas, that's fine, but let's not go too far, remember. I'm just going to keep an eye there because I see people mentioning people's names. I think you're all right though, aren't you? Just make sure to draw my attention to it if you've got problems. So we can move on from the media response now. We've seen the media response. We've seen this confusion in social media that feeds into this idea that there is a psyop and all this weird shit going on, and that's because there is actually a real political level that they don't want you to be discussing. Like, there's a real political level that they don't want you to be engaged with. I say they, the people who are in charge and want their agenda to be pushed.
I couldn't be happier.
Hunchuffer sent tippies. Thanks for the entertainment. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
Tonight. I'm a bit on my egg. Looks like I'm going to lay a fucking egg in a minute, doesn't it? I'm getting on my egg about this. But you know what I mean? Social control, politics, someone's life, a beautiful life, children. And it comes to this now, and we're talking politics and police response, and we're all excited because we got thrown a tidbit about an ambulance, and like really, it's an absolute tragedy. When we heard that, there are different levels to it, and we'll have to discuss them, but all of them involve tragedy. So it is to be entertainment today, and I am to try and keep it boing along and bouncing along. I am wearing a wig, but let's get into this. Our investigations. Each year, our investigations by the IOPC. I am reading the internet for you. I am doing that for you. Bear that in mind. I sometimes slate this as like not good content, but I think at this moment, it's the right thing to do. Each year, our investigators carry out, because you can read this yourself, you don't need me, each year, our investigators carry out hundreds of investigations into the most serious and sensitive incidents and allegations involving the police. Police forces must refer to the most serious incidents to us. So if you do something serious, it's got to go here. Whether someone has made a complaint or not. So if the police actions result in a member of the public being injured or dying while in custody, or after they've had contact with the police, or as a result of a police shooting, death is quite prominent here, isn't it? Or in a road accident, they've got to look into it. It's not just, I think. Police forces can also refer incidents to us if they have concerns, for instance, about their conduct of officers or staff. We can direct forces to record incidences, we call them in. We can also consider instances that have not been referred to us by police forces. We carry out a number of high-profile and large-scale investigations. They include investigating police actions following the Hillsborough disaster and handling of reports of child SA. A guide to the investigations is available here if you want to read more. I'll give you the link to this in the chat if you're big on this sort of behind the scenes further reading. The issue I've got with the Hillsborough disaster is that took years, didn't it? Years. I mean, we should do an episode on it, but it took years of back and forth, didn't it? Years. So I'm not filled with all. I mean, I'm glad they got there in the end, but I'm not filled with massive confidence here, am I? IOPC. The other thing I'd like to quickly find out, who funds the IOPC? Contributions paid by entities. Wait, that can't be right. This is something different.
It's raining
I hate it
again.
when this.
Sharon
couldn't be
sent
happier.
tippies. Super Chuffer owes 9 hugs.
9 hugs. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. And no message, just 9 hugs. Thank you. Independent. What is it? Independent Office Police Commission. What's it even stand for? Police. If I put independent O, police, like that, C, UK. Maybe it'll tell me. Come on. Someone in chat tell me. Who funds the IOPC? Well, I can't find the answer on Google. Like, who funds the IOPC? Here we are. It's an executive non-departmental body sponsored by the Home Office. So it's the Home Office. So the government, yeah? Now, is this one of these where Boris Johnson organises an independent inquiry into himself and it turns out that he's not done anything wrong? Do you know what I mean? Is this another one of those? Like, they've got to be independent. They've got to be seen to be independent. But where does the money come from? So you've got to be careful about exactly how and who you trust, haven't you? I'm not saying it's psyops. I'm saying we're in the world of politics. And I'm saying that when we get in this world, we've got to be careful. You would hope they are... Wouldn't you? You would hope they are independent. I don't know how independent you feel, I feel they are. When I'm not here to determine how independent and good a job they're doing. I'm just here to make that, you know, clear before I give you the information. I want to make sure I'm giving you right information, facts, and not clouding your judgment with confusions. So some of this pinch of salt, maybe. What do you... Actually, before I read this, what do you... I want you to tell me, what do you think in chat? You know, let's have a little, you know, one of those work meetings together. Do you think it's fair that the government... Because someone's got to fund it. It should be our money, taxpayer money, shouldn't it? And it's a separate entity, but it comes through the Home Office. So who do you feel this is solidly independent? Do you trust this body, the Independent Office for Police Conduct? Do you think that this is... They oversee the police complaint system. They investigate serious matters. They're independent. They make decisions entirely independent of the police and government, but the government give them their money. I want to know what you think in chat. You're talking about hot flushes, you chuffers. I'll give you hot flushes. I'll make your face redder than Alan's paintings, baby. I'll make your face redder than Alan's paintings, baby. I'll give you hot flushes. I know it's about the menopause. I know. And do you remember when we did that episode, the call-in show, and we had that lady from the Spaces, from the Twitter Spaces, telling us about the menopause? I learned a lot there. You know, stuff that I would never understand because I'm not in that position. So only you can really. You know, I did diss Penny Bunny in the past, lovely jubbly, yeah, because she did a video where she said this is on Facebook and it might not be true, but. And then she talked a load of nonsense. I can't have that. I think it's really dangerous to be spreading gossip. So I did diss her for that, yeah. And then I didn't watch her channel anymore. And that's up to me. You know, deal with it. I want to know, do you believe in this stuff? Is this independent? Is this acceptable? And are we about to read a report that we then go, right, this is good. Oh, I'm going to take that as read. Or whatever. Like, you know, I just want to know what you think. Because I know what I think. I think pinch of salt. But I'm not here to tell you what you think. And I'd like to know what you think, you know. And I'm not asking for the answer as well. How do we fix it? How do we sort this out? Should a private company do it or should it be public? How do we make it independent? Who watches the watchman? You know, who watches the watchman? That's the question here. I just want to know what you know, whether you're happy with it or not, and whatever. The chat is fast, is it? I'll slow it down one more step for you, because this is a crux of it, isn't it? This is quite an important part of it. You can't just read the report before you've decided, you know, whether you're going to trust the report and how far you can trust the report and whether we should trust the report. You're still talking about the menopause. Go ahead. But before but please tell me what you think of the report quickly, whether you think it's independent, is acceptable. I'll move on and we'll go into it. You know, they've got these performance and accountability standards. Yes, and it's all apparently quite public, although the report isn't completely public. So I've got questions here, you know. Rachel Marston, £5 super chat, keep it up. Will do. We'll move in. Let's move in. Moving in. Watch my back. I need you on my 6. I need you on my 6. What's your 6? I need you on my 6. What's your 6? 6 o'clock. It's... What time is it now? 20, 29. It's 8 o'clock. I need you on my 6. I can't go back in time. 6 o'clock. Moving in. Are you all right, mate? What's your 6? What? My 6? Investigation concludes into the contact between Lancashire Constabulary and Nicola Bulley on 10th of January 2023. So first thing that I'm going to draw to our... I'm going to go through this and, like, you know, read a bit, pull it apart. Read a bit, pull it apart, yeah? This is the big bit. It's contact between the police and Nicola Bulley. It's not contact between the police and Paul Ansell. It's not contact between the police and the family at Garstang Road, house number, whatever. I don't know her exact address, and nor would I want to dox her. And I'm not going to name her children's names on the internet. You know, I've been very careful in my contact and not really bring her children into it, other than to say we should be careful and respectful about these things. We are saying that this is the police contact with Nicola Bulley. One-on-one, two, like the police as a body and Nicola Bulley as an independent citizen. That's an important fact, isn't it? She didn't call the police on Paul, did she? We can ascertain that simply by that title. And a neighbour didn't call them for a shouting match. Paul has called the police for Nicola because who's going to call the police for Nicola specific? Or, when I say call the police, no, I need help because this person is causing a problem. You know, police come deal with this person. That sort of calling them in. Or I will ask you to, you know, make your own mind up about this as well. One question. I'll ask you the question. I'll blow my nose first, and then you can answer it while I'm blowing my nose. Could it be that a friend has called for Nicola Bulley? I'm concerned with my friend Nicola Bulley. Could you go and check on her? Could that be why the police are making contact with Nicola Bulley? Does it have to be that there is an alter? Because I remember watching a certain idiot say that, oh, it's an altercation. There's always an altercation. Does it have to be an altercation for a welfare check? Can I call a welfare check for my, I don't know, like friend down the road now? And if I did, when the police arrived, would it be between them and the friend? You know, if I called for my friend Nicola and they're going down her house, is this contact between Lancashire Constabulary and Nicola Bulley? Is that the case? I don't think that we don't have to conclude that there is a violent conflict here. We know it's a welfare check and we know it's police contact between the police and Nicola Bulley. So we could assume it was Paul and it was, but we could also say that it might not be. Yeah? What do you think? I'd like to know what you think. Who called the police? I'm surprised we're not being furnished with all this information in this report. Is this the full report? No. What is this? An article on the IOPC website. Independent Office for Police Conduct. Investigators have completed their investigation, and you can't click on the investigation and bring it up. It just explains what an investigation is. Into the contact Lancashire Constabulary had with Nicola Bulley. Following a referral from Lancashire Constabulary on 21st of February, we started an independent investigation into contact the force had with Miss Bulley on 10th of January 2023. So we're given the dates. 10th of January. We know that this referral from the Lancashire Constabulary happened on 21st of February. We don't know why they decided to refer this to the IOC at that moment. Possibly because of the severity of the crime. I'll ask again when Nicola Bulley was found. I think it was... Just like to get this right. She was found on the 19th, so suddenly, you know, we're talking about a death. Now it's something that's serious. And remember, this body investigates serious shit regardless. So maybe you want to refer yourself before they automatically start investigating you. That would be my guess. My guess would be the IOC say to them, this is now really serious because you've got a dead body on your hands. We're going to investigate this. And if it comes out in the press that we've decided to investigate you, politics again, you're going to look bad because we're going to investigate you. It'd be better if you referred yourself So it looks like you yourself are putting this forward so that you can be open and, oh, no, now it's serious. We want you to check. So my guess would be that. Following a referral, we started an independent investigation into the contact the force had with Miss Bulley on 10th of Jan. Our investigation, which concluded on 4th of April, we're now in May. This is now a month down the line that they concluded the investigation. So it's interesting that we're going to get another investigation into the way police have been sharing information, a separate one, and that this investigation is also about sharing of is this one about the sharing of the information? It mentions in the news articles, which I actually closed, didn't I? Because I'm an idiot. Make mistakes all over the show. Idiot. Where's the Nicola Bulley story gone? See how quickly things move off the news. That's weird, isn't it? Just quickly history. Maybe later. It's reported here that it's not going to take action over disclosures Lancashire Police made. We're talking about disclosures the police made, yeah? Disclosures. This is an investigation into what happened on 10th of January. So how have we jumped from the police aren't going to... The investigation about 10th of January has now turned into the police are not going to face any action over disclosures. I thought that was going to be in a separate... The county's police and crime officer, Police and Crime Commissioner, Andrew Snowden, said an independent review is underway and the publication will be in the autumn. And that includes press engagement, decision-making and disclosure of sensitive personal information. So that decision has not been made. That's going to happen in the autumn. I'm reading a report that's talking about when Nicola Bulley was visited on the 10th of January, how the police handled that visit. So am I getting this wrong? Why am I confused? Why is the media reporting that the police are not facing any action? We haven't even finished deciding on that. Have we? It says at the foot of this article that's going to carry on till the autumn. They could face action in the autumn, couldn't they? They're going to... Another published thing in the autumn. So why are we absolving the police today in the mainstream media over Nicola Bulley case when the actual report is about a specific incident on the 10th of January and the handling of it by a particular officer? The report here is not into the publication of Nicola Bulley's mental health records. Unless I'm getting something wrong, unless there's two reports, unless I'm confused. And I can be confused because they're not making it clear. Let's continue. It focused on the actions and decisions of the police officer. Sorry, let's be clear. Our investigation, which concluded on 4th of April, a month ago, focused on the actions and decisions of the police officer who attended Miss Bulley's address as part of a multi-agency team. So I'm to understand that there's only one police officer. The team comprised of a police officer, singular, and health professionals who were responding to a concern for her well-being. And the IOPC investigation examined whether the police response was in accordance with policy guidance and training. Nothing to do with whether we're telling people that she's mental. Bit weird. Mickey saying ICO is related to her information being released. So have we got an ICO report then? Because I've got this from the ICO, Information Commissioner's Office, from Emily Keaney. So I do have this. So we will be reading this. But it's a blog. And I've got the statement from the ICO here. But this that I'm reading here is not the same thing, is it? Agree? Agree? Strange, isn't it, though? 9th of May, published. This statement, 17th of February. This blog, 9th of May. So, I understand that we've got the ICO statement. I understand that we've got the ICO blog. I'm about to go through them with you. I wanted to make this clear. I'm reading this, thinking this is what we're going to be reporting on today in the news. I am surprised that the news is making it look like everything is all sorted. The ICO have not concluded. Like, that's only one ICO investigation. There are more to follow. I'm correcting this. It states it at the bottom. There's going to be another independent review by the College of Policing into the force's handling of the case, with findings and recommendations due to be published in the autumn. And the main news here really is about the contact between the police and Nicola Bulley. That's not being put on the top of the agenda then. So the mainstream media, the BBC News, these 3 articles I showed them are talking about how, whether she was mental or not, whether they said she was mental or not. And this thing that's being confused is this other investigation. It's very, that's the right word, Stephen Robson, very misleading. Like, I found it misleading. I took you through my thought process. I have got there, obviously, in the end. I wanted you to sort of, see the same thing. So I hope this is okay. We are going to be looking at the ICO. Don't get that twisted. But I find this to be an egregious confusion that confused me when I started looking at it. Still confuses me now, in a way. The IOPC and IOC and IOC. I'll be honest, I brought that to you in the same state of confusion as I feel, and I'm glad that you managed to sort it out in my, I've got them lined up, but without you here telling me, I don't know if I would exactly have got, it's quite difficult. Or is there someone that needs blocking? Who do we need to block? Dover and Dolly's mom. Who do we need to block? You'll be alright, won't you? The Men in Black say it's not misleading at all. I felt that reporting today that there's been an investigation by the ICO, reporting all this and saying the police have been absolved and everything's fine, yeah, on the same day as a report that the investigation concludes into the contact between the police and everything might not be all right here. The yellow card, the slide tackle, I thought it was a bit confusing, and I thought that the politics involved, who we're questioning, the people like the IOPC is paid for by the government, this one and this one, I don't know who this one's, again, no, who pays for the ICO? Organisations paying the data protection fee. So this is about information and data. This is not so much about the police and their behaviour. It's about whether someone doxed you unnecessarily and stuff like that. So I think it is confusing. I think it is confusing. I think Emily Keaney seems like she's doing something like, overviewing the police, questioning the police. And I think the real investigation...
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Someone sent tippies. Is that a Birmingham blue wig? Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Just thought I'd get a different one. This one was actually on very cheap on Amazon. It was on for very cheap, so I just picked a bargain basement one. But it is a Genshin Impact wig as well. It is one of the Genshin Impact characters, so it will double up for my Genshin Impact streams. I think it is confusing, and I'll be honest, I was confused until you made it clear in chat, and I can say, okay, I agree with you there. I see what you're saying. I'm less confused now. I got it all here to be talking through. I had similar feelings and thoughts, but, I wanted to show you that confusion. And I think that this is the important thing, and it's being swept under the carpet a little bit by what we're going to conclude with, which is the statement about the police and the vlog questioning the sharing of personal information. Because this is the meat of what we really want to talk about, and I don't want to be don't want to let this drag on too much today. I want to sort of get into the hardcore. a lot to think about, isn't it? It's a lot to take in. Like, I can see why Alan suggests people take notes now, even though what you're going to do with those pieces of paper at the end, you might as well just throw them away. Like, what are you doing with those notes? But I do think, like, these things are confusing and they should be made clear, and it should be about clarity. Let's continue. This is the stuff we really want to know about, and then we'll finish on this, more wider conversation about who should be saying who's mental or not. So we've got a team, a multi-agency team. The other agencies could compromise. The fire service, unlikely. Could be though, couldn't it? The fire service. Or what are your other options? Well, it's the ambulance, isn't it? It could be the paramedics, or it could be the ambulance. If you're calling for a mental health issue, and it's your loved one, you might call an ambulance rather than a police officer. The police officer came as part of a team. Maybe the ambulance have requested the police backup. Maybe they do that when someone says, oh, they're completely mental or whatever. There's another aspect of police being part of a multi-agency team, which is allowing access. So if someone's locked themselves away, they might require the police, because the police can gain access to places, break doors down for people's own well-being. But I think the ambulance service can do that as well, but I'm not so sure. I think maybe in heart attacks. I don't know. You see, I don't know the ins and outs of all this, but I know some generalities. Do you know what I mean? But why are the police involved? And these... Sorry, I'm just going to be making a read while I'm talking as well. While we do this is conjecture. What I want to say here is this is conjecture. Okay, nobody knows why the police decided to send an officer with the ambulance crew, if it was an ambulance crew. Nobody knows, who called, and like, we're not being shown that information here. So it's dangerous to just jump to conclusions and assume conjecture. For me, I'm always in this camp, like I said at the start, of thinking that Paul is to blame. Paul is the suspect, and so he should be. Yeah. So Paul is the main suspect. So if that's the main suspect, I'm to take everything here with a pinch of salt in what happened, aren't I? Because if Paul called them, it might not be there's anything wrong with Nicola. He might be on the blag. If Paul kicked off and then wanted to make, like, she was about to call the police and he grabbed the phone off her and said, right, I'll call them first and say you're mental. Like, that could have happened. I don't know, do I? So I think you've got to be careful, haven't you? So the multi-agency team being called out can mean everything and it can mean nothing. And if you're going to encourage people to jump to weird conclusions on the internet, then that's a mistake. You need to calm the fuck down at this point. Of course, I'm not saying it doesn't mean X, Y, or Z. It will mean at some point, if we can ever get to the bottom of this shit, if we ever get furnished with the information. And I think in this case, the public do have a right to this information now, because it's become about public safety. It's become about the behaviour of the police. It's become about the safety of the public, the capability of the police, and whether they're doing their jobs correctly. So we need to know what happened in this case, so that we the public can judge our own police force and see whether they're adhering to correct standards. Not just, oh, we looked into it and said that we think they probably did. We looked into it and you're okay. Not that. I want to know what happened. I want to know what judgments you've made based on what information, please. Because I think it's quite important. Knowing why there's a multi-agency team, we can all make conjecture. If I want to support the idea that she went in the river, I'll say that we had a multi-agency team because she was going mental. She needed a mental health intervention. They tried to sedate her. They tried to, what's the word where you get sectioned? They tried to section us. They needed a police officer. Although you would think you need more than one. So maybe they didn't section her. But, I'm making conjecture, aren't I? So if I wanted to make it seem like Paul had murdered her, then this team has been called in because Miss Bulley's being bullied by Paul at home. Paul's punched her. And she's scared of Paul, so she needs a police officer to intervene, and she needs the multi-agency team, but she doesn't want to press charges. How am I to... There's a spectrum of anything that can have happened. And everyone, and those especially that are determined to make money and grub for... those whose position of status on the internet is directly connected to their finding some piece of information on a case. You know, those sort of people are going to grub this for all it's worth and they won't let it go. But you've got to be careful yourself about this. What can we know? Unless we get more information, unless we get a neighbour's testimony, or, you know, should we do a little mention the children here? Should we do a little bit of a mention about the children here? Because, you know, all these videos that get put out, the children can watch them. They could watch this. You know, this is tragic what happened to your mother. If I'm talking to them directly now. Tragic what happened to your mother. And I feel it's a travesty of justice if we don't find out what happened. And I'm sure they want to find out what happened too. And I'm sure they don't want to have everything dragged out and gone over, like, you know, everyone pointing fingers at everyone. But we need to directly and in a very straightforward way. You know, when you're grown up, you'll understand this, girls. We need to be grown-ups about this and to deal with it head on. So if she's been murdered, we need to bring those murderers to account, as tragic as it is. And you've always got your nan and your granddad, and they love you very much. So, and you'll always have each other as well, girls. Remember that. So what I was going to say is, you could ask the girls, couldn't you? So I'm sorry, I'm talking about the children here. You know, time out, sorry about this. But you could ask them what happened on that day, couldn't you? Do you remember when you were 8 years old, if your parents had a row? Has anyone in chat gone through any of this shit? My parents divorced when I was young. I know a lot of shit went down. I've got a piecemeal memory of it. A piecemeal memory of it at this even back then. I was in my room, I was hiding, I was scared, I was worried about whether I would be living in my house next month or whether Dad was coming home. You know, I was scared a lot of the time, and my perception as to who was in the right in the argument or what they were arguing about, that was all out the window. I had none of that. Just knew that when the vibe was up, I felt the vibe. Mom's upset, Dad's angry. You know, Mom's screaming, Dad's going. Like, you know, I didn't want any of that to happen. But you could take me in an interview room and tell me, you know, who took you to school on Tuesday. Like, was your mum upset on Wednesday? I'd be like, what? I don't. And this is the reason that you can't with children, is children don't have the same perceptions of an adult, especially if they're in the situation, and they're unreliable witnesses. So even if a child sat down in court and said, my mom took me to school on Tuesday, it doesn't matter. The other lawyer is going to say, that's an unreliable witness, Your Honour. It's a child. Like, for example, my mom is dead. I'm feeling fucking messed up in the head. I'm honest. Like, I imagine you would be, wouldn't you? And your dad says to you, if you tell people that Emma took you to school, you will be put into care because Daddy will go to prison. And you don't want that, do you? Now what are you going to say? Now what are you going to say? And there's another aspect to this, which is if you want to interview children, you can't because they're children. So you need another multi-agency team person with you, a social worker or someone. They have specific trained people that help interview children. And it would be done in a certain setting, under a certain, you know, they'd have to have the children don't need a lawyer. Well, they need a lawyer, but you know what I mean? They need an adult with them, like one of their own parents. So they've only got one parent, and that's Paul Ansell. So you've got problems with the interview with the children, haven't you? So you're not getting, there's no point with these children interviewed on this case. No one has put their testimony in, oh, she's definitely took you to school on this day. Like, that's not happening. And even if it did, no one's taking it into consideration. Not in the professional sphere, not the lawyers, not the police, none of that. They're children. They're like under this level of, like, they're like treated like a dog in this case. You know, like Willow. They were there. They have no voice. So don't ever get that twisted. Mr. Investigator says children can take the stand. Yes, they can. But the alternate position will be they are an unreliable witness, and then their testimony will not necessarily be taken into account. Do your own investigation. This is my opinion on it. Then, not, you know, I've looked into it, but this is my opinion on it. Okay, so even if you wanted to interview them, did they bring in those multi-agency teams? And was, looking back on this, now saying this, was the multi-agency team comprised of a social worker? We don't know. We all assume it's just, you know, they've come for Nicola, it's the ambulances and the police, and they're going to lock her up for being a mental. She's having one of her freakouts. Paul's called them. She's having a freak out. Now that's the assumption, isn't it? Or the alternate assumption is she's gone like fucking nuts, and Paul's had to like tie her up in the bathroom, and he's scared because he's assaulted his wife, but he didn't want to. She's just gone fucking nuts. Or whatever the assumption they're trying to throw up with this report, or this report seems to throw up, because it's not giving us the facts. Remember, it only invites conjecture. And that conjecture, as we'll come to see, is the sort of conjecture that makes Nicola look like she's mental, which I don't like. But we can't ask the children, not even in this case. And I wonder whether the multi-agency team would have contained some protection for the children. Because I don't think we, and I ask you again, right, even a week from it, they said, do you remember Emma reported that the children said that Mummy was looking for the helicopters? Emma reported that, so we can't say that's a fact. Emma reported it. Or Paul reported it. We can't say it's a fact because they're the main suspects. But these children may have been aware that their mother was missing 2 days before she was missing, that we knew she was missing. How would they impart that information? What day did Mummy go missing? Oh, well, it was definitely the day that we did PE at school, I think. What markers have they got? It was definitely Tuesday. Was it? Or was it Wednesday? Like, honestly, can you remember? Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Was it Wednesday the 14th or Tuesday the 13th? Like, these girls are not going to have this... they don't live their lives by calendars like this. They go to school. They've got their maths book. It was maths day. It was 2 days before I had my favourite dinner. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to have this vital information in the way that you need them to have it in this case. So even... I don't think their testimony in that way... when they grow up one day, they'll say what they feel and what they thought. Whether Mum was there 2 days before, whether there was trouble at home, they'll be able to say more. But now, at this point, they're mute, and we can't, again, we shouldn't, because, I'll tell you for why as well, because this is the truth of it. This thing again, it's a real person that died. It's really their lives. So to throw conjecture around about what was going on at their house, to throw conjecture around about whether it was 2 ambulance people or 1, you're missing the point. Nicola Bulley ended up dead. And these people visited their house. So between these people visited the house and Nicola Bulley ended up dead, someone is not doing their job. I'm going to say it outright. People like me for saying what I think and saying things as they are. It doesn't matter whether there were 2 ambulance people and a fucking fireman, a fireperson. It doesn't matter whether it's a football coach and a fucking astrologer. She ended up dead. You were supposed to protect her. Welfare check. Obviously things weren't that fucking welfare, were they? Things weren't that fucking checked. The welfare wasn't on, like her welfare was not taken into account when she ended up fucking dead, was it? So I think something's gone wrong here. That for me is like a flashing siren. I don't know exactly who was in the team. There was a police officer and health professionals. They were responding to a concern for her well-being. And the investigation examined whether the police response was in accordance with policy, guidance and training. Oh, good. I'm glad that we're just checking whether it's involved. What about whether it was, to coin a phrase used a lot at the moment, whether it was robust enough? Whether that policy, guidance and training did its job? We're like, oh, don't worry. You followed the book. This police officer went to this house where there was this welfare check. Did they do it in terms of policy? Yes. Did they follow the guidance? Yes. Did they follow their training? Yes. Fine then. Everything's fine. You're absolved of any guilt. But she ended up dead. Oh, don't worry about that. I got a yellow card. Don't worry, I wasn't sent off. Like, what? Do you not want to check? Do you not want to examine? You just want to examine whether they did their job properly. Because if they did, then you can't say not their fault. You don't want to examine whether maybe the wider context of whether their job is, what their job is, how they should have. Okay. After a careful review and analysis of all the evidence, which we're not being presented with today in this what is it? An article on the IOPC. After a careful review and analysis of all the evidence, we identified 2 areas of learning for Lancashire Constabulary in respect of updating its guidance documents for multi-agency vehicles. So now we're doing this fucking language again. You saw there's 2 problems, and we're going to update our guidance for the multi-agency vehicle, for when we're doing things with a group, to ensure all police officers working in this role understand what is expected of them. So maybe they didn't know what they were doing properly, as well as the provision of guidance for officers more widely when dealing with similar situations. We need to tell everyone how to deal with this shit. What shit? This pokes us again towards mental health. in a negative way, in a spin and conjecture way. If it's mental health, say it's mental health. Don't beat around the bush here, because people are going to think that Nicola Bulley was mental and wanted to top herself because of the way you've written this, without your evidence and without your proofs. And she might have been suicidal. And if that's the case, then we failed her again, because suicidal people that in January are suicidal, that end up in February dead, they've been failed. I mean, I don't know how clear to say this. I don't know how much. It's making me upset, if anything, though. I feel like, at the start I felt eggy about people relishing in all this. Now I'm starting to feel upset, like I'm feeling like, because I know people have killed themselves. Like, I've lost people to this. If we're institutionally failing them and they want to have a little change of the guidance, make sure we tell everyone that you should do it a little bit differently next time. This shouldn't stand. This simply shouldn't stand, should it? This shouldn't stand. Again, we the people have a right to be policed to a certain standard. Everything's getting more expensive in the shops, isn't it? You're getting fewer crisps in your bag. They're using the cheaper oil in the factory now, and they're starting to taste a bit funny. When you go to a restaurant, it's sometimes out of a microwave, and where it used to be fresh. What's going on with this broken Britain? Cucumbers have gone double in price. Broken Britain. But, this is everything. It's your hospitals. You used to take it for granted that if you break your leg, you get down the hospital. That's a simple, we take this shit for granted. We were lucky that we had the NHS, and that my granddad went and fought in a war so that we could have these freedoms. And not just freedoms, but so that we could share in this way. The NHS is a brilliant example of it. My nan lost 9 brothers in a war, protecting our lives and our liberties. Never forget that. Never forget. It's not the same as when Tony Blair fucking bombed Iraq. My nan's 9 brothers went to Europe and didn't come home. I never got to meet those family members. She lived the rest of her life with that tragedy, But yet, the knowledge that they'd sacrificed themselves for our freedoms, this is part of it. This is part of it. We want proper policing. I don't want CCTV cameras in my bedroom. I want you to do your fucking job. We need to supply them with the right funds, and we need to stop the people that are funneling the money off in the dodgy directions. This is Boris Johnson's curtains. When my mate broke her leg the other day, and this is a few weeks back now, this is a while back now, maybe a year back now, she broke her leg, and on the ambulance, they said, you're not going to get an ambulance because it's too busy, so you're better off getting her in the car. I was like, we shouldn't move her. She's broke her leg. And they're like, get her, she fell down the stairs. I had to get her in the car. Me and my mum had to get her in the car. Drive her to the ambulance. Like, what the fuck? Boris Johnson's got curtains. I'm a bit disappointed and a little bit upset because this is not acceptable. We also identified 2 areas of learning for the officer. So this particular officer that went to the scene, this man, we were told, one man, this police officer, went to assist the other professionals, I'm assuming, and they had 2 areas of learning. What do you mean 2 areas of learning? Why are you not sending sympathetic why this man? And why doesn't he know what he's doing? Which relate to recording information on police systems. Oh, it's okay, he just didn't write all the stuff down. And activation of body-worn video. Oh, that's fine. He just didn't turn on the body cam. Are you fucking insane? We're supposed to think that Nicola is, but our police officers don't write anything down or turn on the body cam. Now, that's going to play into the... I can see people already. I can see them already. PSYOP. Turned off the body cam. If it was a PSYOP, they would have turned on the body cam and recorded it all because it would have been part of the PSYOP. They'd have all had their positions and places and their script. They didn't record this, and they didn't record it on the police systems, the information on the police systems. I'm assuming that means either writing it down on your notepad, getting the evidence. I mean, or typing it into your police phone or whatever.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Swish!
Slinky Socks sent tippies. My cousin took herself off this planet.
Sorry
It's
to hear
so
that.
sad and difficult to overcome because what if? XXX Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. We're not going to, I don't want to make you feel bad. I get a little bit angry about this stuff. Our duty is to move forward. We all have our own, like we've all seen it with COVID as well. We all had our own different difficulties, and we've all lost people over the years in different ways. And it's our duty to move forward and make the world better for the rest. You know, we're the ones that carry this and can utilise it as fuel for making the world better for the rest. And that's kind of what I see I'm doing here today. You know, sometimes I'm holding that chuffer to account, sometimes I'm holding other people to account, sometimes we're just having a laugh. Today's one's a bit serious, like I said, and I'm not here to be excited and sweaty because I've got a great Nicola Bulley scoop. I'm here to talk about the facts as they are being presented to us and how that twists and manipulates using this tragic death of Nicola Bulley as the thing that they're leveraging, and how we're being let down. If you're not recording it on body cam and you're not writing down what was going on, we've got a problem. And that's not a yellow card offence to me. But thankfully, the IOPC Regional Director, Catherine Bates, said our investigation has identified important learning for the force in relation to the policing role in multi-agency vehicles, which aims to assist the force in their response to similar calls in the future. Our thoughts remain with Nick Bulley's family and friends and all those affected by her death, not her murder. So they're going to make it, they're going to sort it out in the future. We're going to have a little learning. We're going to assist the force in their response. Turn on your fucking cameras or you're sacked. What more do you want me to say? Who is this that did this? Are they being sent out to... right now, when someone calls up for a police officer in Lancashire, are they sending that fucker out? How did you get to be a police officer if you failed to write things down and not turn on your camera? I just, you know, I'm not going to go over and over that. I think you understand where I'm coming from. So that's the report today, 9th of May. Well, yesterday, 9th of May. Give me a chance to process it and digest it. And then I followed it up with this ICO. Because as I said earlier, who is who? Who is who? Why is why and what is going on? So the ICO, and this is what was reported really, isn't it? What's being reported in the news. The police face no further action over details disclosure. So this article is not about the police face no further action over failure to record with your camera. The police face no further action over turning up to a multi-agency welfare check and then the person whose welfare was under consideration ends up dead. Like, that's okay. In fact, it's so okay, we're not reporting it in any of the 3 news agencies that I picked up on today who are reporting that there's no action over details disclosure. So then we move to the ICO. And on 9th of May, Emily Keaney produced this blog. That's why I've used her face in the thumbnail today. No offence to Emily Keaney, but, you know, I had to make a thumbnail. And then today's statement, this is not today's, this is 17th of February. So we go back to statement in response to Lancashire Police's statement regarding Nicola Bulley on 15th of February. Data protection law exists to ensure... this is so... like, now I feel this is like, how are we even talking about data protection? Now, I used to work in business. You know, I had to do my data protection modules and stuff like that. Are you all alright in chat? You're having fun, aren't you? Talking about your cucumbers. You're all good. The Nicola Bulley data protection stuff. Like, in data protection, you've got a duty of care to store someone's data correctly, to record it correctly, and to destroy it after a certain amount of time. You know, if someone rings you up and asks you for someone's phone number, you can't just tell them. Data protection. And if someone comes in your salon and looks over your shoulder and reads everyone's phone numbers off the computer, data protection. You need to be storing it correctly, as in securely, you know, and stuff like that. So that's the general, you know, atmosphere that we're now talking about this, which seems wrong to me because I don't think it's about data protection. I think that it's about context. Because knowing someone's phone number, doxing them on the internet, saying someone's name, like a child's name, involved, like naming Nicola Bulley's children on your video, for example, you know, showing her address, showing pictures of her address, showing videos of her house. I mean, we've had to show the cameras that they showed us, haven't we? So we've had to look at those. But, you know, stuff like that. Data protection. It's not about the context, about how callous or dangerous that could be. It's not about whether we're giving the public the impression that she's mental, so therefore a suicide. It's not about whether the search should have been conducted at the premises of the... like, whether any search should have been conducted at her own home or at Marsh Farm Hall, based on the concept that Paul might have been having an affair with this Emma, or whether we should check Paul's phone. None of that. This is about whether you should tell people her phone number, release her name, you know, these other pieces of personal information, of which your health record, your, you know, the doctor's record, they become part of that. But we're not talking about the context. Do you understand this, yeah? Do you understand that we're not talking about the context, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's appropriate, whether it's going to give people a funny idea, whether it's going to help us find her, or whether we should be looking in a different place. It's not about that. It's about whether it's right or wrong through the data protection law to release personal information. Do you understand what I'm saying? We, as humans, as people, we talk. It's like being in this one is like being in the law office. It's like being in the court. It's like when Alan. This is what it's like. It's like when Alan says, "Oh, I'm going to fight my case by showing them all this stuff that these gang stalkers have said," and like the court's going to go, "Okay, that's interesting, but it's nothing to do with what your court case is. So shut up." Like, you know, you need to talk on the legal. Like, this is like legal language and stuff, but we're talking on that human level about what it means, whether she's mental or not, about whether she's got the menopause means she's suicidal or not. I mean, I keep saying mental because I'm trying to provoke the idea that they want her to seem unstable so that they can just say it was her and a suicide and we don't have to investigate the crime of her murder. That would be much better for them, because they didn't investigate the crime of her murder and they treated her in a very misogynistic way, meaning men know better than stupid women and women are crazy and stupid women. You know, it's the patriarchy thing, and that's what we're getting at the moment. So I don't like that. Yeah, so this is what we should be talking about, but we're not really. What we're actually talking about is data protection. So data protection law exists to ensure people's personal information is used properly and fairly. This includes ensuring personal details are not disclosed inappropriately. Police can disclose information to protect the public. So if you're at risk, they can tell you about what you're at risk at. Like if there's a fella running around with an axe, they can tell you what he looks like and where he lives and, you know, which road he's been running around in and stuff like that. You know, they can tell you stuff about the bloke with the axe because it's to protect you. Police can disclose information to protect the public and investigate crime, but they would need to be able to demonstrate such disclosure was necessary. So first of all, we are not discussing the protection of the public because this is a missing persons, Nicola Bulley. We are not discussing investigating a crime because this is a missing persons, Nicola Bulley. So how have they been able to demonstrate that the disclosure of her personal information, i.e. menopausal, or the conjecture that she was an alcoholic, because that's Paul Ansell's idea, not Nicola Bulley and her doctor's records, or her, you know, it's one person's word and that's the prime suspect. How can they say that this disclosure was necessary when there is no crime and the public are not at risk? That's a question for me. We recognise that at this stage of an intensive live investigation, the force must focus all their energies on the inquiry. Well, not in this case because it's not exactly as you described, but yes. I mean, they did do some investigation to narrow down their lines of inquiry, but they used this presentation of the information that she's got menopause and all that to say we don't have to do this wider inquiry. It is a missing person. She is in the river. Like the concept is that the intensive live investigation and the force is focusing on the inquiry, but by releasing the information, which they obviously were focused on at some point because they had it to. They did a press conference. They need to also focus on the press conference and the dissemination of information, of course. But that provided them with a direct line of inquiry and a shaping of the inquiry as well. So that's interesting. Given the high-profile nature of the case, so now it's all on the telly and everyone's talking about it, we will be asking Lancashire Police to set out how they reached the decision to disclose this information in due course. So in February, they're going to be asking the police how they reached the decision. Like, again, it doesn't absolve the police, does it? The ICO said it would take no further action because it was a fast-paced investigation. And the police said, thanks for your careful consideration. Keaney, announcing its conclusions, said it sought to reassure the public that there are rules in place. So data protection rules, yeah, there are. I just said it. I just looked at it. your rules. If there's no crime and there's no danger to the public, then disclosure might not be necessary. But there was no crime and there was no threat to the public, Emily. Was there? So, a bit strange. We wanted to be clear that while police can disclose information to protect the public and investigate crime, oh, right, yeah, okay, be clear, they would need to be able to demonstrate such disclosure was necessary and proportionate. They spoke with the police. They heard about the challenging nature of considering whether how to share personal information was important. And based on their conversation, we don't require enforcement action. Well, that didn't change then, did it? From 17th of February. Because it says it here. It was a fast-paced case. And we're going to find out how they came to their conclusions. And you rang them up and they said it's a fast-paced case and we needed to say that. Oh, fine then. That was fine. And it is kind of fine because we're only talking about the data protection and the protection of public health and investigating crime. We're not really talking about the wider context of whether it was important, how it made Nicola look, how it affected the investigation. That's not really our bag here. And it's strange to me that this is now a statement being made on the 9th of May at the same time as covering up this statement by a very similar body, similar sounding body, the IOPC, into what actually happened in the failings. You know, that was quite serious. We covered that first. Now we're winding back around. You see how we're doing it? So I now understand why this is in the news today, but not really do I understand why this is in the news. Not really do I understand why that's that important. And she's written a blog for today, which is a bit weird as well, isn't it? Kind of like supplemental additional. So we're going to have a look at this blog post. What I would rather see is the actual fucking investigation by both bodies. I don't want you to tell me you've done an investigation and that you've done a report. Thanks. Here's the article that tells me about the report. Show me the fucking report. Somebody needs to tell me how to get hold of those reports. Is it a freedom of information thing or something? Oh, it's not my information, is it? Somebody needs to tell me how to get hold of those reports. Somebody needs to publish them. Emily Keaney's decided to come and write a blog, so we're going to look at that instead. And then we're going to finish by having a little bit of a chuckle. But we'll first finish before that by saying about Nicola Bulley herself. And I want to say thank you to everyone. You know, you're here, you're watching. It's going well, I think. I've been a bit eggy today about this because you can understand why I feel passionately about this. So passion's funny. People say passionately when they mean they got eggy, don't they? Oh, I didn't get angry. I was passionate about the subject. No, you were getting angry. Like, well, I got angry. Yeah, I got angry at their failing, Nicola Bulley. I got angry at their reports and stuff being about the system and whether they followed the system and whether that matters or not because she's fucking dead. Like, so fuck your system. She's fucking dead. Like, change. It needs improving. Like, the failings, the fact these children don't have a mother, and on top of that it's all some sort of feeding frenzy about, oh, we could make a detective inference because there was an ambulance, and we can't make any real inferences because we don't know who called them, who was there, what was happening. Like, you know, I could call an ambulance on my neighbours right now and it could turn up and they've done nothing. They're just sitting there, and then 2 weeks down the line, if one of them is murdered, you're going to say she was mental because the ambulance turned up. Like, careful about what you believe, you know. Instead, let's ask the right questions about the information we're being shown by two different bodies today in two different ways. And the right questions are, how dare you, Greta Thunberg, how dare you? You've stolen my police force. You've stolen my safety on my streets. But honestly, they have, haven't they? Like, talk about violence against women. Talk about Sarah Everhard. Talk about, you know, I don't want to, I could go and start listing names. I don't know all the names. You know all the names. If you know a name, pop it in chat now. You know, if you've got a name on the tip of your tongue there, you know, I'm thinking about Sarah Everard. You know, there are other names, aren't there? Do you know what I mean? Pop them in chat if you know a name. Oh, there's been a lot of them. Violence against women as a matter of, like, course, even now to the point where the police are the people that are doing it. Like, we should be asking certain questions today about their reporting of this. But, whether you want the likes up. We've got quite a lot of likes already, you know. I didn't even ask you for them today. Thank you for the likes. And if you're watching this and you think I'm good, subscribe. I'm not always this eggy. I do sometimes just wear a wig and have fun. I'm not always this eggy, but I do have emotions and I'm human. So, what can I do? Yeah, let's find out what Emily's saying then on this day. Important information to me. I'd go right back always though. Someone's mother, the death of Nicola Bulley. I'd like to find out who did it. I don't believe that she suicided herself. Even if you come back from that autopsy report and say, unconclusive or misadventure, or I think they say open verdict, but I might be wrong in that. But whatever they say, unless they're going to show me the conclusive proof that she's had that, I don't want to get too crude and too graphic here, but I believe if you drown in river water, then certain things can get into your lungs, and if you don't, then it don't. But if you're placed there for a long enough time, it may cloud the issue. But if there's any broken bones or anything like that, and they say, could have bumped her head in the river, I'm going to be like, I actually believe that we should protest. Like, there should be a day of national protest in the name of Nicola Bulley against violence against women, and it shouldn't just be a day. When they kick off, I feel like, honestly, I shouldn't be inciting people to riot here. I'm not inciting people to riot, but protest in the right way. When people kicked off in America when they beat that black man to death, you think I'm talking about George Floyd, don't you? I'm not. I'm talking about Rodney King, for Christ's sake. Like, it's been going on. It's been going on. But they don't put up with it, though, do they? They all get fucking well eggy and go out and get tetchy about it. I don't think we should smash anything up, but this is the equivalent of some young black man being held down on the floor and knelt on his neck, and then we're just going to fucking bin him off. Like, if they try and convince me, or any of us, if they try and leave it open, or sorry, we just can't. Oh, well, we don't know what happened to Madeline. It's one of them. This is not one of them. I don't want my sister and my mother and, God help me if I, am graced with a daughter one day, which I'd love to have children one day. I need to find a woman who's smart enough to look after a kid and stupid enough to let me get them pregnant first. But, I'll be out. You'll come with me, Ellie. Fine. That's it then. I'm not going to school, Daddy. I won't, though. Honestly, I'll take the camera and we'll just go and stand outside the police station then, or somewhere. And I'll do it on my own if I have to, like Greta Thunberg. I'll wait till the inquest, because I've got to give them the fairness of that. But we shouldn't let that stand if that comes through. We need to, I'm like Citizen Smith. You're right, lovely jubbly, I am. I try to keep it off my channel. I try not to do politics. It separates people and divides people. I try not to get eggy about things that I can't change. Give me the wisdom to understand the things that I can change and all that business. But people need to speak up. You're right, Almaz. Neighbours need to speak up. I don't know why they've all gone quiet. I don't know why the interviews have stopped. More. Information. But more than ever, if this comes back as we're not doing anything and then just fucking leave it, I don't think we should leave it. Not at all. I think we should demand it to be reopened. I think we should demand that no stone is left unturned, all the information is made public, and that women are not being failed just as a matter of course by our system. And that won't happen if we just sit at home and do nothing. And a lot of you haven't even got fucking jobs, so you can join me. I'm joking. But you know what I mean? We can go out, so even if you just go out to your own local police station or whatever, and we create some, we can use the yellow ribbon thing that they used. We can have a yellow ribbon campaign. We'll get it prepared. We'll get the concepts prepared, because if it's something as simple as going out and standing out and starting to make a stink, just standing out and making a stink, I'm sure more and more, like with Greta Thunberg and the global warming, I'm sure more people would get involved for this. And on the day that inquest comes out, if it's an absolute shambles, I can't conscionably. I've made money off this. I've made views. I've grown my YouTube channel. I do my body language, but I have an obligation to the memory of Nicola Bulley, because I've done my bit, but I've taken my bit, haven't I? I feel I said earlier, I'm not some war for justice. It's not my war for Nicola's justice, but I mean for everyone, for she's dead now, so she can't get justice. You can't resurrect her. You can't kill the person who killed her, and that makes her feel better. She's dead now, but I don't want other people to suffer the same. I don't want people to think they're going to get binned off in the river and then, oh well, so we didn't have the resources, or oh well, so probably just leave that one. That's not acceptable. So we'll see what happens. I hope I don't get too eggy, but if it's as simple as just going out with a placard I think I can handle that. And because I'm on the internet, I can take my camera, and anyone who wants to turn up can turn up, and I'll video with them. And if you all turn up in your local areas and do your own videos, then it goes on social media. This is a good idea, isn't it? This is the best. Everyone wants to help here. Everyone wants to do something. Everyone wants to feel like they're helping to solve this. A lot of people are on the internet talking about it, looking for things on CCTV. They're on Twitter. But like, if the police fail everyone, then maybe we should do something a little more than just, this. Does my wig need adjusting? We will reassess that idea later on. But I just feel passionately. That one is passion. That's not anger. That one was passion. Love. It needs to be a sharing of love. It needs to be a demanding of answers, John, you're right, a demanding of answers, but also a sharing of love, that we're not going to stand by and see people suffer and allow people to just drift, literally drift, in the river now and be fished out. And okay, that went on. That went on. Fuck it. Let's have another pie and chips. Like, we need to love each other more, and loving each other more means protecting each other more. So, yeah. I see you all in chat. I see you in chat. Big ups. Let's read what Emily Keaney said. That's my feelings on it anyway, on the tragic news and the tragic result of all this that's going on. That's how I would make a statement. Oh, he's a hater. You can't love a narcissist. They take your love and use it against you, so that one's out the window. In February, the ICO announced it would be asking Lancashire Police to set out how they had reached the decision to include personal information in media statements as they sought to find Nicola Bulley. Good point. This was an important piece of work around a high-profile case. I would have probably opened with, the tragic death of Nicola Bulley has affected us all. This was an important piece of work around a high-profile case. You're important. We wanted to reassure the public that there are rules in... Oh, this is the statement. It's her blog. Oh, my God. No. No. No, not you as well, BBC. I don't want you to dress it up that you've read a report and seen the statement that I can't see. You've read the blog. That was a statement. This is a blog. It's called a blog. It says blog at the top. I'm in the way. It says blog. You're reading a blog. It's her blog. It's not the ICO have released a statement today and we're reporting that no legal action for the police because everything's fine. Emily wrote a blog. And you copy and paste some of the blog. Fucking hell. And not the whole blog and not the link to the blog. We wanted to reassure the public that there are rules in place to protect how personal information is used and shared. You want to reassure the public. And we wanted to be clear, you don't need the and, you could just not start with the conjecture. We want, is that maybe I'm wrong, maybe you do start with ands these days. We wanted to be clear that while the police can disclose information to protect the public and investigate crime, they would need to be able to demonstrate such disclosure was necessary and proportionate. And they weren't able to because there was no threat to the public and there was no crime involved. We have now spoken with Lancashire Police to better understand the steps they took before releasing information. We heard in those conversations the challenging nature of considering whether and how to share personal information during fast-paced, important cases. The word important's come up again. More important than us, normal people. This is the important world of data in the media and sharing information, data, important. Obviously, she's dead in the fucking river. That was quite important to us. Finding out who killed her and how, quite important to us. To you, the important, fast-paced. Seemed fast-paced when they're fucking putting down the river in that little boat, did it? It didn't seem very fast-paced then, did it? Fast-paced. Went on for 3 weeks. Fast-paced. Can you have got any dash cam, anyone? Anyone got any dash cam? Fast-paced. Did a press conference after like 5 days. Fast-paced. 2 weeks later, another press conference. Shut up, everyone. Stop going on social media, you idiots. Fast-paced. Based on our conversations with Lancashire Police, we don't consider this case requires enforcement action, even though it contravenes your own guidelines. We'll be able to provide further details around this decision following the inquest into Nicola Buller's death. Why not now? While this concludes our work with Lancashire Police, that's the end of it, it's clear their consideration of what information to share during a fast-paced case is a challenge all police could face. So they fucking it up. Like, you need to read between the lines. You know what I said about plain English? We're done with Lancashire Police. It's clear that during the fast pace, there was a challenge. They're making some sort of mistakes then, aren't they? Fast paced and challenged. These are get out of jail free cards. It was too fast paced and it was too challenging. That's why they fucked up. We therefore wanted to share the wider lessons all police can benefit from. There are no lessons if they made no mistakes. Data protection law does not prevent police from doing their job. It's part of helping police do that job well. The law specifically considers the challenges law enforcement organisations. So what they're saying here is the police are angry because the data protection law gets in the way, and they would rather be able to say things direct to the public and share information about people than have to worry about whether they're sharing the wrong information at the wrong, and it's data protection. That's how I'm reading that. It's part of helping the police. Shut up, police, it's good for you. The law specifically considers the challenges law enforcement organisations may face using personal data and asks police to consider the risks of disclosing information alongside the valuable role disclosure can play in an investigation, in particular when police are calling on the public's help to find a missing person. This is very verbose, isn't it? But I'm a bit surprised that they didn't print this whole thing in the media, but then I'm also not surprised because Emily, there's a dead woman, she's called Nicola. Kids are looking to live a life without their mother. We're talking about the particular difficulties in the risks of disclosing information. They said that she was on the menopause and they said she was an alcoholic. She ended up dead in the river. Like, why are we... Like, do I need a degree to understand what you're saying? Or can we not just talk like normal people? Police can better understand their legal requirements by asking themselves the following questions. So this isn't for us now. You don't need to read this. This is for the police. Is sharing this information necessary? This is just the basics. This is the basics of data protection for the police. So I don't know if we do need to read it. And it slightly angered me again because I'm surprised at the lack of compassion. Is sharing the information necessary? Is it important the public know something sensitive about a missing person? Then you can. Well, they didn't at the start, not for a couple of weeks. Until the TikTokers and everyone got in there and the police wanted to say, shut up, stop coming up with all these ideas that are making us look bad because we didn't know, we didn't check in that. No, we haven't checked in that. Oh, actually, we didn't search there. We didn't ask this person that. Oh, we haven't searched Paul Ansell. Oh, we didn't make this a crime scene. Oh, you're making us look bad. Also, the narrative, the story, the narrative, the truth is being shared on social media and we're not controlling it. The mainstream media, the police, we're out of control. I don't want to be out of control. I want to take your phone off you and tell you to shut up. So give me your phone and shut up. That's why they disclosed this, why they had the press conference, isn't it? We're going to do my piece on the police coming up. You know, we've got an episode to do on Nicola Bulley, me versus the police. Well, not versus. I do feel for them in a lot of ways. Like I said, they're being underfunded and they don't have the diversity and the high caliber of people funneling into the system. You know, every year there should be more and more good people funneling into this system to make it better and better. Instead, they're being cut down to the bone and the only ones that are there at the end, like, because if you're, you know, I'm not going to say exactly, I'll save that for my episode on the police, but the ones that are there at the end are not necessarily just like, you know, the best ones ever, are they? Number 2, sharing the information proportionate. You need to consider harm and detriment that may come. Well, if someone's missing and they're an alcoholic, you're not going to harm them necessarily by saying that. You know, there's a way to say it as well. You don't have to go in public and say, oh, they're a fucking alky. You want to look for them under the park benches. You want to look for them under the bridge sucking off the tramps. That's where they'll be, fucking disgusting alky. That's not what you'd want to say. What you could say is they have an addiction problem, or they're struggling to overcome, like Tyson Fury made it look good. So there are ways to do it. It's about context, but that's lacking here because we're not talking about context, but you're asking us now to talk about context. It's strange, isn't it? We said it wasn't context, didn't we? We said this was about law and stuff and that the context had been lost. And that's why the police fucked this up. They could have done this properly from day one and they didn't. Make sure this does not outweigh what you're trying to achieve. Finding Nicola. This is particularly important for sensitive information. The law specifically sets a higher standard for sharing information about someone's health, for instance. Will there be an impact on others, her children? It's important to consider who else might be affected, yes. Are you recording the factors being considered in your decision making? No, they weren't. This is a big one. They had an investigation and they found out they weren't recording the fucking body camera, let alone writing down what their thoughts and feelings were about disclosing information. As the Lancashire police case has shown, there'll be times when the ICO expects the police to set out how they reached a decision, and they obviously couldn't. They said they were busy. Too fast-paced. We reached that decision because things were very fast-paced. After 2 weeks of doing fucking whatever, we decided to release this. In the fast-paced 2-week world, suddenly things are happening very fast all of a sudden today at the moment we release the information, and then they slow down a bit. Fast-paced, that was the reason. What's the data protection officer's view? Jackie Rice there with the £5 super chat. Keep it up. Thank you, Jackie. And I want to encourage everyone else as well. You keep it up, you chuffers. You know, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what I'm saying, if you think I'm on one today and you want to contribute to my aggravated attitude, then tip me. No, calm me down by sending me money. I do really appreciate it. I do really appreciate your tippies, you know. And the main thing is subscriptions, sharing, getting it growing. That's all good in the hood. And bear in mind, like I said, I do want to make it clear, I'm not just on this. You know, there are other things that we do as well. And we can have a lot of fun on this channel. So this is a bit of a serious one. It's got an egg on it today. I'm a vegan, but today's episode's got an egg in it. And it's me. And I've got an egg up my bum about this. So bear that in mind. Sorry if you don't, you know, if you don't vibe with this and you thought Scott's got a right egg on today. Scott's got a right cob on. Have you seen Scott? He's got a right cob on. Who tweaked his nose? He's got a right cob on. No one's gave me money to calm me down. I'm still asking for money. I do, Englishman. I do. This is what you do on the internet. Like, people ask for, like, I don't go around saying, oh, wait, where's my money now? I need my money now. But I remind people the mechanism for tipping me is available. Like, you know, if you go and watch someone in the street doing a busking and they're singing a song on the guitar, they've got their hat out. Like, I've got a mechanism for people to support me, and I encourage it. Yes. Get that up your bum, you fucking dickhead. What do you want to do about that? What are you going to do about that? I'm doing the good work here. I'm doing work. I'm putting in the work. What do you want? Do you not want money? Do you not like money? If you don't like money, send me your money, Englishman. You should give me your money because you're not bothered about it.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Nick sent tippies.
And then
In
give it.
late but love your work.
See?
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
And they, Nick, is not cross about that. I don't feel like I've, you know, tried to manipulate them into giving me money. I asked directly, if you think I'm doing a good job, give me the money. Gives a job, mate. I know you have fuck about beat around the bush, mate. I'm not here to beat around the bush. Alright, grow up. Thank you for the tippies. So I'm angry about this because the data protection angle is really not the angle. I don't think questions police must ask when considering sharing personal information with the public, and this, the way this is written, and the Nicola Bulley case, that doesn't seem right to me. This should have said, in this it should have said, what Emily Keaney should have written is, they made it look like she was fucking mental 2 weeks after they couldn't find her because they realised it could have been a murder, and if it fall in that line of thing, then they're going to look really fucking bad. So now they're having to make sure they don't look bad, and the best way to do that is to say, well, you know, she was mental. And everyone kicked up a fuss. I remember looking at The Guardian, like I said earlier, there were MPs, weren't there, saying about it. We all kicked up a fuss. You're making the people look like bad because they've had the menopause. Very misogynistic. Emily Keaney, no mention of any of that. Missed the point there, Emily Keaney, didn't you? About misogyny, about women's place in society. You are a fucking woman. So I'd expect you to be pushing and fighting for that a bit more.
Lovely Jubbly sent tippies. This is your job and you need paying. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you, exactly. It's not just my job. I'm self-employed, right? So it's not like a job. I don't expect money to come at the end of my... I don't sit on the internet for 3 hours and I get my £40 or whatever. I have to work hard as a self-employed person to create something of value. Media's funny. It's not like cutting hair. You know, if you want a haircut, you come in, you pay me 40 quid, I'll do you a nice wash, cut and blow dry. You know, that's straight up. Like you'll get what here. It's different. I'm on the how long I've been on the internet now? I've been on for 2.5 hours. So I would have, if I was cutting hair, I'd have got like, let's say 80 quid for two haircuts, yeah, or a wash, cut, blow dry, and a colour as well. Like maybe bang it up to 120. Like, you know, I could have done some money there. I've chosen to give up manual labour, talking to people, having fun, enjoying my own work, struggling for money. But I've chosen to give up that aspect of life and do this instead. I'm a media producer and I'm at work today. Absolutely. I haven't got a job per se. Every day that I work on it behind the scenes, everything I do to push into it, I have to try and create a diverse income stream, and I have to try and make it sustainable. Because if I can't, then I can't do this. You know, I don't take a pension or a disability thing, and you know, I have to make this work. I have got bills to pay. I'm not here like, oh, you need to pay my bills and all that. I offer value. The value proposition is I do the work, I put on the content, I make the thing first, and if you like it, you can tippy, and then we grow. And if we can get a sponsor, and then like you know, sponsorship takes the pressure off you for the tippies, and it allows us to grow more. And then the YouTube money comes in with the ads and stuff like that, which at the moment isn't a lot, but you know, that grows. And it also, you know, this is a plan, an action plan, and I'm going to use that money. Like I say, now's a good time to show this towards the end of the episode. I've done this before. I'm not like new to the game. This is me.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Rachel sent tippies. Yes, giving Super Chuffer a tip stick that in your pipe Englishman loving your egginess tonight. Super Chuffer X. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm sure that is making the Englishman eggy, because they are eggy at me receiving tips for my work, yeah. In formal films, this is my work as well. This is my YouTube channel. And I used to charge people money for making little videos. So some of these I've done for free, and some of them I've charged money for. But the other projects, like the documentaries here, the ASMR road trip was a crowdfunded thing.
Who are these people whispering to each other? Why is that woman tapping on that box? Why is he rubbing a paintbrush over a white canvas?
So I made this documentary about ASMR. Emma Whispers Red's in it. She's quite a big one. So I crowdfunded it. I got £500, not a lot of money. And I went around the UK with my mate, and we made this documentary. It's 45 minutes long, and it's on YouTube for free. So people backed me. I came through. I made the documentary. It's on. Look, there I am. And there's Matt with the camera. And this is us making the film. You know, a little documentary crew. That was my first foray into that. The next thing we completed was Eddie Strongman. And Eddie Strongman went on Netflix. And again, this was crowdfunded initially.
27 years old, 6 feet 3 inches tall, 385 pounds.
People either love him or hate him. It's the sort of personality he is.
He's a character.
So violently strong.
And basically this got started because Matt was working on the Strongman show. He was presenting on the Strongman TV show, and he started following Eddie about with the camera, and I joined very early on in the project. And you know, as you saw, we do work together on the media thing, like having fun. And so I was there for shooting this. I didn't go to this one in Iceland. Me and Jeff Capes in that room, Matt and Jeff Capes in that room. Like we made this film about strongmen, and it got onto Netflix in the end. I didn't get loads of money. I did get a handshake, a little bit of cash on the way. You know, like I did get paid a little bit. I probably came out about $2,000 up over the whole time process, but it was a long process. It's not like I got a wodge of $2,000 in one long go.
Slinky Socks sent tippies. I give tippies cause I love your content, you're kind, compassionate, and keep it real XXX.
Thank you.
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So we're following Eddie around. We're making this film. It ended up on Netflix. It was a big success. More for Matt, the big success, than me. But I got to be associate producer, cameraman, because some of this stuff I filmed, cameraman and sound. I was the one holding the microphone a lot of the time. I also got to go to America to the World's Strongest Man competition in Ohio, the Arnold's Strongest in Ohio. I got to meet like Thor and all these people, Triple H, Brian Shaw. You know, I had a great time, and I did it with my friend as well. So that was a real joy in my life. So this piece of documentary went on, I have to keep saying, Netflix. It was like a huge feather in my cap, you know, like I'm on IMDb now, credited, associate producer, camera, Netflix. So it doesn't mean that I can call up Netflix and say, hey, what are we doing next week? Like I just worked on a project and it was a big success. Like from humble beginnings to, like, not big success that I'm rich, but look at it. There's Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's Arnold Schwarzenegger in our documentary. That's why it was.
And I hope you say, I'll be back.
And on top of it, the journey that I went on with Eddie, you know, from not the world's strongest man to becoming the world's strongest man, and the friendships I gained, like, you know, that was a beautiful time in life, yeah? So after that, I went to this place in Sweden, and I started making my own documentary. The money I'd scraped together, I made my own documentary. So it's about computer game development. So these people made this game, Dandara, this game, and these are the people that made it. I filmed this, look, and they made it in Sweden at this game development camp. It's on the Super Nintendo, the game is, or the Nintendo Switch or whatever. A lot of the games from this development camp are on the systems now. Check this out. I went there with my friend Matt, with my budget, and we filmed this.
So Stugan is this experimental game development camp in the forests of Sweden where people come together from all over the world to work on the game for 2 months.
Stugan is like a great experience.
Yes.
Yeah, you can eat the paper here.
Oh, yeah? So these young people, all are gifted coding developers, and Tommy Palm, the guy who made Candy Crush, who you just saw talking a minute ago, the guy who made Candy Crush, puts on this event, and they spend the time in the woods, they make their games. At the end of it, they have their games, and they're on the internet now, and you can play the games. And it's a wonderful indie development film. It's an indie film about indie development. I finished the film, but we had COVID, and I couldn't sell it, and I ended up being a carer for my nan instead of a film producer. Like, that's my life, they're my choices. But I couldn't sell it either. I'm not that good at selling the film. And me and Matt don't still like hang out as much as we used to, which is a shame, really. You know, our personal relationship broke down a bit after Eddie Strongman and after Stugan. This one wasn't crowdfunded now. This one was me on my own. I put the money into that. So your channel, Super Chuffer channel, and videos, and just search these videos for indie. I'm the one.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier. Swish!
Daphne sent tippies. You chuff from the heart, all respects, Red Heart Hash. Super Chuffer owes 12 hugs. Thank you. I really appreciate it. 12 hugs is quite a lot. Thank you. The film did get made, right? So I had lots of problems. I'll be honest, sitting there in 6 months in darkness and editing this was a real ball ache. And I became a little bit depressed after it, to be honest, and not being able to sell the film. I thought at the end of my edit, I'd sort of hand it over to the Netflix people. They would polish the final bit and it would go on Netflix. I'd get paid. But that bit didn't happen. Instead, like, my mate went to work in, he went to work in, good for him, he went to work in Prague, working for Amazon, doing behind the scenes for their Wheel of Time stuff. So, like, where's my camera gone? My co-producer, like, I was on my own all of a sudden, and yeah, I'm back now. It's just my camera, wasn't it? Like, you can still hear me. Things fell apart at the final stage.
It's raining again. I couldn't
Hell's
be
Bell
happier.
sent tippies.
And then whoosh!
Passionate, sensitive, all-round, extraordinary Chuffer Red Heart Hash. Super Chuffer owes 10 hugs.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. We could do a documentary on Nicola maybe in the future, but I wouldn't just be like, let me make this clear, right? Let me make this clear. I wouldn't just be like taking other people's footage off the internet and making an edit. Like, I'd need to go and talk to the people with my proper cameras. Like, I've got proper cameras. Like, my mate works for Amazon doing their, like if you look at Wolf, like he's another level to me, but like, we're working together on this, and I've learned and have access to, like, I'm not making, like, you know, YouTube videos here. No offense to YouTube videos, although a lot of YouTube videos these days are now up to this sort of standard. We're making content that was good enough for Netflix, yeah? So this film, I didn't manage to sell it. So this edit now, I've got the whole edit in draft on my channel. You can watch the whole film on my channel. It's there now, yeah? All of it. It's not at 1080p. It's not as sharp as it should be. It looks a little bit herky-jerky like that at times, a little bit jerky sometimes because of the frame rate, because I'm recording it off the computer rather than exporting it in full 1080p. Because it's a 1 hour 40-minute huge film with 1 million edits in it that takes like 10 days to export, and I'm scared to export it in case I break it. And the final polished version should go through a professional editor. But this is where I've driven it to. The film exists. You can watch it.
This was a question that was really important to me before I actually became a game designer. Prior to this, the idea of games being art was like this central, like it would legitimize games. If everybody knew that games were art and that games were expressive, then they would take them seriously and see their important cultural value.
So they're intelligent people talking about interesting things, yeah? It's a documentary. There's some quite notable people in this, from Nintendo, the guy that made Clash of Clans, the guy that made Candy Crush. Some of the people that made these games have now gone on to be successful game developers in their own rights. It's a full documentary, right? The point I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to make is about these tippies. I will take the money and I will produce something good. I'm not here to take the money and spend it on the horses or poker, or like spend it on weed or a wig. Although, you know, some of the budget goes towards producing the show, making our streams better. But what I'm trying to do is build up a fighting fund. And when I say a fighting fund, I mean like thousands of pounds, not just a couple of £100 so I can go off to Malta. I mean thousands, so I can say whatever the project is, and whatever, let's say it's Nicola Bulley, right? Let's say it's Nicola Bulley. The project involves then a budget so that we can go to the area with a team of 5, camera 2, sound, me the producer, and then like gaffer, I would call it, someone who like does the lighting and the you know, lighting and kit and stuff like that. Maybe you need someone else to carry stuff around. So they all need to be able to sleep there. They need to be able to, like, you know, they need to be able to, that team needs accommodation and feeding, and I'm responsible for that. It's my budget. Do you know what I mean? I could ask you for the money in advance and say we've got a target and a goal and we're going to make this project. I'd rather do it the other way. So if it was a big documentary, if it was Nicola Bulley, I'd have to invite and talk to as many, we'd have to at least get guaranteed interviews off some important players, otherwise there's no point in doing it. But let's say we get an interview with the policewoman, we get an interview with Curtis, we get an interview with 2 people from the village, and Emma says she'll do it. Let's say that, and then we're on. Yeah, then we're on. These interviews need to be set properly. They need to be in proper environments for proper interviews. You know what I mean? Like, not just like random. Like in all of these interviews, we decided to set them in the nature. But like, these are proper interviews with people. They took like an hour and a half. We had 2 cameras. We've set it properly. We've done all the sound and the lighting and everything. And then we shot the interview. You know, like we would do one of these with each person, and we'd also want a day shoot with them, just what we call working interviews, where we'd walk around with them. They'd talk about stuff, have a chit chat, following them around with the camera, a bit more, you know, free form. And that comes in, you know, you see it in this film, like these sequences where they're actually at work and you're just getting to see what's going on, and we've edited it together. So you put these things together and you develop your story, and you're you know, but we do it properly, yeah? So that requires a budget. We need to pay for the people to make it. I'm not asking for money that I can put in the bank so I can have money. I'm saying it costs money to make it. And then afterwards, you hope that you can sell it. I'm not so convinced that I can sell films these days. I was convinced this one would work, and then the next one would be about speed running, and then the next one was, don't worry, yeah, I've got a better plan now. You're helping. We're going to do memberships, we're going to have a goal, and we're going to put your tippies like I've already getting, and I'm going to reduce the scope. I don't need to do an hour and 40 minutes, $2,000, 2 weeks of filming, 6 months of editing, get it on Netflix. What I'm looking to do now is share it with you on this channel. You're supporting it, aren't you? You're the ones providing for it, so it's going to go here. So rather than, oh, I'll make you pay £1 to watch it, you've already given me the money. The money's already coming in. So not now, not this summer, not immediately, but over the course of this year, I want to make sure that we stabilise, we get to 10k. I want to make sure that my content is consistent enough that people are watching and I'm consistent. I want to make sure the podcast keeps growing and we add another voice to the podcast as a co-presenter. I need more guests on the channel. But then coming end of the year, we start producing this content and it starts appearing on the channel, and you start to see another level of media on this channel. properly produced, shorter form pieces. So they might cost a little bit, and it might be a little bit like a lost leader, you know. It might be like I spend a bit making them, and they don't, each individual video doesn't make like the money back well, that's a bad business plan then, but it's not, is it? Because it's a passion project in a way, and it's an elevation for the channel, and you that support it can really get your value out of it, you know, and we can really do a proper job on a subject. So that's what the plan is. And it's not that I'm just like making this up. There's my track record. So yeah, like, I think I'm okay to ask for tippies, you know. I think I'm okay to say, you know, thank you for your support. I'm really grateful. And I think we've done a good job today. So like, subscribe. I've got my egg on. We got another Nicola Bulley video done, didn't we? About accountability and performance. It will lead into our police video, which is probably not going to come next. I want to have some fun. I might go on the B-side tonight and play a game on the B-side channel, or I might do that on Twitch. So look out for me on the other channels as well. That's that woman who did the thing. That's Nicola Bulley, RIP. That's thus. Just closing my windows now. I'm the Super Chuffer. You're good. You've got 5 minutes now. You've got your T-minus 5 minutes now where you can say thank you and good evening to each other in chat. I think you've had a really good group today as well, because bear in mind, there were people here today to try and disrupt. There were people here today that come directly from that fucker's channel who have got like a chip on their shoulder about the fact that we pull him pants down in public. So you've done really well to deal with it and to not be dragged down by it and to not react to it, and like it doesn't require us to be like eggy and angry at them, and we don't have to like I would never want to encourage people to sort of row with people. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, it's fine. Like, they come in and try and do their thing, and what they do in amongst a group of good people like you I'm talking to, like, there's a group here now, and you're starting to become regulars and friends with each other and stuff, and someone comes in and he's like, I'm a fucking idiot, I'm a clown, and like, you all just see it, don't you? So they like kind of flag themselves. Like, so don't feel like, you know, hurt in your heart by that, because it doesn't hurt. Like, a fly can sting a horse, but a fly is still a fly, and a horse is still a horse. So, you know, don't need to worry about that shit. Thank you very much for all the tippies. I really appreciate it. I hope that we've done a good job today unpacking the information as presented, and I've put, maybe you can call it spin, maybe you can call what I did spin. It's just how I feel about it. I tell you how I feel about it. I'm not beholden to any thing or anyone, really. I'm just here to do what I want. Lucia Olsen, $12 super chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, so I hope that you've had a good time and that we've done the good work today. I did get my egg on a bit at the start, didn't I? And I did have a pop at that chuffer again. Why wouldn't I? He's a chuffer. What I want to do on the B side, which we probably will do, we'll probably do it on, give me like an hour to get some food in me or something, and I'll probably turn up on the B side channel, and I've got the Nintendo Switch to set up for stream, because Zelda is coming in 2 days. So I bought a game on here which is like a brain test of brain power. Test of brain power. Oh, I'll tell you what I've also got. 10 dates. I'll show you these 2 games before I go. So this is what's coming up on... We're doing Zelda. That's coming up in 2 days. And then 10k special is 10 dates. Let me push this for you. If we hit 10k, we're doing 10 dates on the main stream. $10k special will be 10 dates on the main stream. That's this. Which is, it's a computer game, but not like you would expect.
He's 16.
Pick up the phone.
What's happening? I've got some news.
Okay.
I signed up for speed dating.
Why are you telling me this? Isha?
I might have signed us both up.
I was duped into coming here this evening.
There's no substitute for meeting someone face to face. This is where you're going to find that genuine connection you keep banging on about.
Gainer sent tippies. Show us the envelope again. I didn't quite catch your address.
I've got to go and look through now.
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
I'll tell you what, I didn't spot that I sung those songs in the middle of that as well. I've got to go and look through now and delete that little section. You're right, just in case. Because some idiots can be idiots online, can't they? 10 Dates is a game about dating. And you literally go on the dates and you make the choices. You know, you can say this or say that. And we talk about what it's like to go on a date and who you think is the sexy one. And should I say this or should I say that? And that looks fun. It's got options at the bottom. Friendship, nothing serious, love. You know, you say what you think. So that's going to be loads of fun. I've got that. We will play that when we hit 10k. That's our celebration, 10k celebration. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. 10 Dates. And the other game I've got for tonight, and I want to show you a quick bit of me singing as well before we finish. The other game that I've got for tonight, which I'm going to have a bit of food and then come back on the B-side, is Q Remastered. And to me, this just looks like loads of fun.
Woo! We're on a roll! Now, how do I get rid of this thing? This hook?
What you do is you just sort of draw stuff, look. And then it appears, and then it interacts. And it's like a puzzle teaser. Puzzle brain puzzler. And so this is going to be my test. That's going to be my test to see whether the Nintendo Switch works on my system. You know, so tonight we play this game, and assuming it works, then we can play all the other games on it in the future. And Zelda's coming. Zelda is coming. Zelda's going to be on the Twitter channel. I'm not going to be doing it. Twitch channel. I'm not going to be doing that on the main channel, but, you know, Zelda's a big thing. So we'll be playing Zelda on the Twitch channel at some point. And this tonight. Yeah. And then 10 Dates when we hit 10k. That'll be the celebration. Thank you very much all for being here. I know that we're tailing off now, coming to the end of the show. There was one final thing I wanted to quickly say and show you, though. If you're still here and you're still watching this, I want to show you this, which is I dropped this video of Super Chuffer Plays Bramble the Mountain King, and that is an awesome game. Huge, awesome, fun, like fairy tale, but dark, mysterious, and even quite dark, witchy and scary. And I do a bit of talking, and I was doing it, and I edited it, and usually I watch every single bit of the edit, like all the way through. But this time I sort of skimmed through it and said, yeah, playing the game. Okay. Need to cut when I pause. And now I paused there, look. I paused here. Why did I pause here? I haven't cut that one. See, I'm an idiot. I missed that bit where someone asked me a question, I paused, and I missed this. This might not all be in tune, this guitar, either. Tiptoe through the window, but... No, I didn't sing Tiptoe Through the Tulips on the internet, did I? And then accidentally leave it in the edit when I wanted to edit it out. That's going to go. I'm cutting that out on the YouTube editor. That's going. So if you enjoy that bit of that video, enjoy it for the short time you can, because it's going. But you can hear it one more time before we finish today's episode, so it exists on the channel still. This is me playing Tiptoe Through the Tulips. You love Tiptoe Through the Tulips, don't you? I'll link the B-side. If you want to find any of my channels, Super Chuff is the main channel. It's got a button there where you can press shorts, live, podcasts, playlists, community for the posts, and channels is one of them. And there's the channels. Super Chuff for you is clips. Battery Exhausted is the B-side, where we do messing about. I'll play that game there tonight because it's a B-side sort of thing. You know, it's not main content. It's a B-side sort of thing. And it's not quite Twitch either. I think it goes on YouTube. So we'll do that there tonight, instead of doing Angry Alan, which we do quite a lot. And the Restaurant Inspector video is back up now. So get your chops around that. Get your chops around that. There's loads of good stuff there. I will link it in the chat. And to sing us out is me playing Tiptoe Through the Tulips. You wouldn't expect it, would you? You wouldn't have thought it. God, there's loads, isn't there? Who'd have thought this? Might not all be in tune, this guitar. What's your favourite song? Tiptoe. I've never played it before either. This is my first attempt. Through the window, by the window, that's where I'll be. Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, tiptoe. OAD. Tiptoe through the window, that's where I'll be. Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe from the garden, by the garden of the willow tree. Tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Scroll down.
Knee deep in flowers we'll stray. We'll keep the showers away. And if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Knee deep in flowers we'll stray. We'll keep the showers away. And if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Tiptoe through the tulips with me. I'm an idiot. This chuffer man, this wig man, this chuffer man, this wig man. Who does this chuffer man think he is? Who does this chuffing wig man think he is? Who does the chuffing wig man? Who does this chuffing wig man think he is? Oh, tiptoe through the tulips, through the garden, through the tulips with me. Oh, tiptoe through the tulips with me. Who does he think he is? Who should I think I am? Give me someone to think I am. Give me someone to think I am. I want to be him. I don't want to be him. What about Freddie Mercury? Deo. Tiptoe through the tulips. I can't do Freddie Mercury. Who should I think I should be? Who should I think I should be? Who should I think I should be? Tiptoe through the tulips. Wait. What about? I don't know how to do anyone's voices when I do the song. I don't want to do Tiny Tim. That sounds like pedo stuff. Mick Jagger. Tiptoe through the tulips, through the garden, that's where I'll be. Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, tiptoe through the tulips in the garden, that's where I'll be. Tiptoe through the tulips with me. What about that? You like a bit of that? Rod Stewart. I don't know how to do Rod Stewart. Johnny Cash, Morris. These are good suggestions, but I'm not that good at doing impressions as music. Noel Gallagher. Because maybe tiptoe through the tulips, through the garden. I can't. Not really good at doing Jimi Hendrix. That would be doing a black face. That would be like doing black impressions. I don't think you're supposed to do that on the internet. Amy Winehouse. I'm trying to go to rehab. I don't know. Tiptoe through the garden. It's coming out like Tiny Tim. Joe Pasquale. Tiptoe. It's coming out like we go with Michael Jackson. Man in the mirror. Tiptoe. I can't do any of the voices, can I? Elvis. Tiptoe through the garden, that's where I'll be. I'll tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, yeah, baby. Tiptoe through the that's my Elvis. That's the best I can do on Elvis. Tracy Chapman, again, she's she's a lady, but Greta, I'd see Greta might work. You've stolen my future. Daddy, they've stolen my future. Tiptoe through the garden. It's coming out like Tiny Tim again. They all come out like Tiny Tim. Someone's just arrived, what's going on? Exactly. I'm just playing a famous favourite classic, one of the classics, Dylan. Bob Dylan. I went to see Bob Dylan. My dad took me to see Bob Dylan, right? It was one of the best gigs ever because I went A with my dad, which was brilliant to go to a gig with my dad, and B, like, Bob Dylan's fucking awesome. And then my dad thought it was the worst gig ever because he sat behind the piano the whole time and he didn't turn around and we didn't get to see a good look at him. I mean, he was old now. He sat behind the piano a lot, but we did get to hear him do the I love the Stereophonics. Kate Bush as well. I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to do any of these songs, any of these voices justice. I'm just not a good enough impersonator. Kate Bush. Long and the lonely, windy road. That's coming. They all come out like fucking like that Tiny Tim. What voices? I wonder what voices I can actually do. I should have just suggested voices I can actually do. I'd noticed as well that our live has taken a crash dive now. I noticed that people are not staying here to watch this. They've decided to fuck right off. Ozzy Osbourne. Finished with my tulips because they couldn't help me with my detectiving. Finished with my tulips because they couldn't help me with my case. Can you help me? Put it in chat, I need your ideas. Can you help me? Boris Johnson. There, I should tiptoe all the way through tulips, so through the garden with me, and the tiptoe through the tulips, through the tulips with me, follow me now. I said, knee deep in the garden. I know you see my curtains in the garden. You see my where's the garden? You see my curtains? Carrie, I need another glass of champagne. Garden with me, Carrie, where's my champagne? Tiptoe through the garden, through the robust response to the tiptoeing of through the garden with me. I've done nothing wrong. Tiptoe through Peppa Pig world. This is Sarah, thank you. Tiptoe through Peppa Pig world. Great Britain are doing fine without Europe. Tiptoe, I've got very nice curtains, and my wife is very something. I'm a tulip, I'm a weirdo in the garden. So Sarah Millyward. See, the ones that have stayed, they fucking love this. The ones that thought this is all Nicola Bulley here, some of them have gone now. Some of them they're even angry about it. I don't like to I'll tell you what, I don't like to lead people down a dark alleyway and leave them there. You know, like mentally. Like, you need to be able to have a fun as well. You need to be able to cheer up at the end, because otherwise, what you're doing, you're watching this and then you turn it off and you feel bad. Oh, that's not the aim, isn't it? Emma White. Lancashire. Emma White. Tiptoe through the garden and watch your head on that beam. It's where I'll be, dragging you down the garden with me in a work meeting. So tiptoe down the river, watch your head on that bat. Tiptoe through my work meeting with me. This is his favourite song. Someone suggested Eminem earlier as well. That was a good suggestion, but I don't know how I'd sandwich the two things together. The true Chuffer Slade, says Saz. This is just the Chuffragettes now. Just the Chuffragettes. Frank Spencer. Why do you all want me to do ones that make me sound like a pedo? I mean, Frank Spencer never had it back in his day. They all had a good laugh at Frank Spencer, but these days they'd be calling him a nonce. Just his mannerisms. Just the fact that he's going around like that all the time. That someone would call him a nonce, I'm telling you. I liked him. I thought he was funny. But someone... Craig David. You're not allowed to do that either these days, Paul Taylor. Did you know that? That turned out to be race-related. The guy fucking did an impression of Craig David and it turned out to be racist blackface. I've got to be careful, I'm on the internet. Otherwise, I would do it, like, in normal life, because we all understand it's not racist. But, like, apparently, if you're not black, you can't pretend to be someone that's black, which is fucking weird, isn't it? Because, like, the whole point of pretending is that you're pretending, so you'd think it was okay. Like, it's like if I do an accent, I've just been doing some, you know, well, you've really made that song your own. Like, if I do my Louis Walsh, or whatever, that's fine because it's Louis Walsh. Or if I just did general Irish, and I'm fucking Irish now, and I'm just doing the Irish accent. I'm just trying my best to do a little bit of an Irish accent for you now. That's general Irish, could be racist, but they're white, and I'm sort of mainly white, so we're not racist against each other because we're just doing accents, and I'm British and they're British, so it's accents. Or like Scouse accent, you know, see me in the car park, can't find my car. Where's my car in the car park? I was in this car park and I can't find my car. Like, if I do a bit of Scouse like that, then they're going to be like, oh, that's fine, because you're white and you're English and they're white, and they don't have to be white to be Scouse. What am I saying? That's bad. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the rules. And then if I did Nigerian, like, if I did my Nigerian Prince voice, I'm not going to do it because I'm on the internet, but if I did it, it would come across really badly. And people would say, seems a bit racist. But I would actually just be doing the Nigerian accent. Now, I tell you what, I love this webpage. This is going to seem a bit... should I do this now? I always wonder whether I should do it or not. But you know the BBC comes in Pidgin Nigerian? Have you seen BBC Pidgin? I actually love this because I like language. Like, I used to study the English language, so this is how I know about this. Is that Nigeria was also using the English language, but they also have two other... they have two separate sort of historical tribal, they both got their own sort of languages. So in between two separate groups and the English that went there and, you know, sort of did the, what did we do from England? The British empiring, as well as the empiring, they've got the different languages going on. So now they've got this, like, conglomerate language called Pidgin. So the BBC comes in Pidgin as well. Let me show you. This is absolutely cool as fuck, I think. Like, I'm all for it. I'm not like, oh, fucking racists. Bad racism. Say something bad about the BBC in Nigeria. No. I think it's good. I think it's interesting. It's a study in language, but there's also some humour to it as well, in a way. And I'll show you. I just want to try and find the bit where I can make it big so you can see. There you go. And let's just have that so you can see it is the BBC that I'm talking about here. It's called BBC Pidgin. Look. BBC Pidgin. And this is like a Nigerian middle language between British and some Nigerian stuff. So, Donald Trump sexually abused writer court rule. One New York jury, Don Rule, say Donald Trump sexually abused and defamed writer E. Jean Carroll inside one civil case. But D, and you'll notice it says D, not the, but D former president they cleared of rape over the alleged assault where happen for inside department store for the 1990s. The jury award the writer almost $5 million in damages for the battery and defamation charges. The jury say Donald Trump defamed E.G. Carroll for 1 October 22 post on Truth Social. We are Nicola allegations con job. Like, you see, it's like a strange version of English, like we are Nicola, where he called her. And it gets more, because that's kind of legal language, like, if I just open up another random. Now 12, I first chop after tears of joy for seeing my family, Sudanese returnee. So you can kind of understand what she's saying, but the Nigerian version of Pidgin English this is, so it's not proper English necessarily, but you can understand it. Fatima Sansu Muse, Webi student of International University of Africa for Sudan, described the feeling to BBC News Pidgin after she reunited with her family for Nigeria on Monday. The 400-level dentistry student, there among the last batch of Nigerians, where derived the country from Egypt, where them run go due to the Katakata, where they happen for Sudan. So, like, you see that. So if I were to read that with an accent, like a Nigerian accent, I'd definitely be racist or bad racist doing your impressions of Nigerians. It's weird, isn't it? But so I'm definitely not doing that. But if I'm reading it, it almost sounds like I'm doing the. Because it says D and day, and like if I say, for now to return, no day in my mind until everything done end, it seems like I'm reading in a race, like, for now to return, no dame in mind. Like, when I'm doing French, if I were to do French, oh, je parle français, I'd put on the voice, je parle français, je parle français. So if I do this, should I put on the voice? Like, the Nigerian voice. Funny, isn't it? Interesting concepts. Let's go back to this. Through the tulips in the garden, that's where I'll tiptoe. Yeah, Jamaican. Oh, that's another interesting one in chat there. Jamaican. All the kids these days, they say the mandem, and that's Jamaican patois, the mandem. But the white kids, young kids now, call each other the mandem. So, like, where is racism lines drawn? I don't know. But I'm on the internet, so I don't want to. Just the reason I'm putting it all back to this is I don't want to do the wrong accent by mistake playing the guitar and sound like a racist. So I definitely don't want to be perceived as a racist online, because I'm not one, is the main thing. So you'll probably see me, caring about that sort of thing instead of just wading right in. But like sometimes we make jokes and they might even seem a bit, ooh, but that's because I'm not one, so it's fine. Tiptoe through the garden. You can't do it like that. You've got to do it like with a bit more truth about you, haven't you? Tiptoe through the tulips, through the garden. That's where I'll be. Oh, wait, I got it wrong. Tiptoe through the tulips, through the garden. That's where I'll be. Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe through the garden, through the tulips. That's where I'll be. Look, the more I do this, the less we can play the game. I was supposed to be playing the game now. It's fucking nearly 10 o'clock. That's the end of this now. You've had this now. You've had this now. I'm wearing my new wig. Janice, I'm wearing my new wig. The wig man cometh. The wig man cometh. We either take his pants down for the rubbish he said, or I'll take his pants down by doing the best goddamn episode you're ever going to see on this particular issue today. Or any other day, thank you. Although I didn't know the difference between the ICC and the IOPC, ICO until chat really made it clear for me, which I'm glad they did, because I was having some confusion, but I did get it all lined up. I'm glad that was elucidated through our exposition. Bye-bye. Sorry. Sorry you're dead. This is Battery Exhausted. This is my B-side channel. I will be there in about half an hour after I've messed about a bit, playing a game, having some fun. What do you want from me? And if you've watched the episode to this point, you are a chuffrajet. You are. You're not one of the people that, if you watched till now, you didn't go away. You stayed around, so you are a chuffraget. You are a chuffrajet. You are in the crew. You are in the gang. That's you now. So I'm going to say, time out, I'm about to go, but I'll be back on here in about half an hour to 40 minutes. Watch out for that. If you feel like it, playing a game. If not, just do whatever. It's up to you. It's up to you. You be good, my little pucos. You be good. And remember, if you can't be good, then you're naughty.